Third baseman's in tight on him, looking for a bunt. Ground ball is drilled to second baseman Morgan. Easy play for him, one down on the first pitch. As you look around this infield tonight of the National League, you notice it's a very stumpy all-star infield. Say at third, Bo at short, Morgan at second, Garvey at first are all short players. Bert Campaneris hitting .279 of the world champion Oakland A's with 2 homers, 27 RBIs. He doesn't walk much. He's up there swinging most of the time. And now and then he can hit a long ball. You'll remember the 7th game of the World Series last year, he hit a home run. A strike to him. Messersmith threw him a curve. Messersmith will use a fastball, a slider, a changeup. And he can put that ball where he wants to. You saw him a couple of weeks ago in our Monday night game, and he was just great. Foul ball for strike 2.
Andy with an excellent change of pace. The last time we had him on our game of the week, a Monday night game, he shut a team out and threw almost 65% straight changeups. But he also has a great fastball, slider, and curve. He's got all the pitches.
He's ahead of Campaneris, 2 strikes. Reggie Jackson's on deck. 1 out, nobody on. The American League batting in the top of the first inning. Fastball is high. This telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball. As you look at Jackson, it's intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures without the express written consent of the Commissioner of Baseball is prohibited. And he struck him out on a sweeping curveball. So we have 2 down. Andy Messersmith, born in New Jersey and moved to California, reared in California, an All-American player at the University of California. Here is Reggie Jackson, the player who received over 3 million votes from you fans. There's the trophy, and here's what Reggie thinks about the way you fans responded.
Thank you and NBC for letting me take the time, Tony. It's a great shot in the arm for me, a great morale boost, and a great attitude builder. Just to finish in front of guys like Henry Aaron, in front of guys like Johnny Bench, I owe a heck of a lot to the fans, and I'll try to remember it every time I step on the field, just to give that little extra effort so that I can say thank you in some way.
Well, thank you, Reggie, and congratulations on receiving the most votes of any All-Star player, over 3 million votes. A ball to him. Jackson hitting for the year, .318, 17 homers, 58 runs batted in. He's a showman. In the All-Star game in Detroit a couple of years ago, hit one of the longest home runs in All-Star history. They estimated if it hadn't hit a transmitter on top of the roof in right field at Tiger Stadium, it would have gone around 550 feet.
Kurt, I think he's the tip-off on a modern player. He doesn't look or guess. He says it's calculated anticipation.
Calculated anticipation.
That's right.
That's good. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 down. And he got him on a fastball, and the American League goes down 1-2-3. So the score at the end of the first half inning, 0-0, the National League coming up. All morning, we had some sprinkles here just before game time. It's overcast and a mist in Pittsburgh. And on the mound, Gaylord Perry, 35 years old. He nearly tied the all-time American League record of 16 wins in a row this year.
Kurt and Joe asked Gaylord Perry a while ago if the National League is going to see a different pitcher than when he used to pitch in the National League.
They're not going to see the grease ball and the spit ball that they used to see over there when everyone else was throwing it. I'm going to use the fork ball a great deal, the hard slider, come up and in, and use the fastball kind of low and away, and mix in a few curveballs.
When he talks about not throwing that grease ball, I was with Tom Ferrick and Charlie Metro over in Cleveland, and they're surprised at how fast he is, that he's now overpowering and he can ride the high fastball. And they're also impressed, the scouts are, at his ability to place that ball where he wants it. And boy, if you can do that, you are well on your way to winning.
All the American League hitters talk about his velocity this year at the age of 35. Pete Rose leads off. Ball 1. You wonder why the Reds were booed, the Red players and the Met players. The Pirate fans are mad because Yogi Berra didn't pick Richie Zisk, who's second in the National League in batting on the squad, fouled away. And the Reds and the Pirates had a big fight here a week ago Sunday in this ballpark.
And in that fight, Bourbon bit one of the players, Patterson, and they had to give him a tetanus shot, I believe, or a rabies shot.
And he pulled a head of hair off another one.
And blackened an eye.
He had a big day. Pete Rose, batting .282, 2 homers, 25 RBIs. He wants to play the whole game, he told his manager Berra. That's a fastball in for a strike, 1-2. A little smile of derision there by Pete on that call.
Yes, sir.
Joe, you talked about the velocity. You could see it on the first couple of pitches to Rose. He flinched on the 2 he took, and the other one was by him.
Changeup is foul back, 1 ball, 2 strikes. That might have been his fork ball.
He's got good speed on that ball. I was surprised to see him throw that hard. And he'll be the first to admit, Perry will, that grease ball will take something away from your fastball.
You know, his great asset, though, is right behind his glove. It's went inside that stomach. He is one of the finest competitors in sports. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Pete Rose. And Rose strikes out. It's like a fork ball that dipped to him. Fork ball held with the 2 fingers to form the sign of a fork or a V. The ball comes off and it drops off.
He has it down to such a sophisticated nature that he can make it go in or out by twisting his wrist or his fingers just slightly.
Joe Morgan batting .302. And you take a look at that size and you say he can't be a long ball hitter, but he's banged out 13 homers, knocked in 40 runs. If he gets on, he always affords excitement. 1 out, nobody on, no score, last of the first. Robinson tied at third against him. Pitched a little bit inside. Ball 1 to Joe Morgan. Brooks Robinson even with a bag at third. Campaneris at short, Carew at second, and Dick Allen at first as the American League infield. Burrows in left, Mercer in center, Jackson in right as the outfield. High and away. 2 balls, no strikes. Perry had his heart broken out in Oakland, going for 16 in a row. He lost a 10-inning game. Vida Blue beat him that night. He hasn't pitched a bad ball game this year. 2 balls and no strikes. Fouled away. He came in with a fastball. A little extra mustard on it. There's Yogi Berra, along with his coach Rube Walker, Johnny Bench. And they love you here, Yogi.
Where's Sanguine?
Manny Sanguine is who they're talking about.
2 balls and a strike. Yogi picked his own catcher, Jerry Grody. That ball was a great pitch. Down and in. 2-2 to Joe Morgan.
High leg kick. Looked like the ball may have sailed a little bit. Joe, you were talking about his additional speed. He appears to me to have a little bit higher leg kick now, and he talks about having more rhythm, more thrust toward home plate. That may give him that added velocity.
He pushes off that leg hard, Tony.
Watch him push off now. And there's the fork ball, and he struck him out. We've already had 4 strikeouts, 2 by Messersmith and 2 by Perry. There's an old cliche in baseball. Good pitching will beat good hitting. And some of the All-Star games are low scoring because of the great pitching. Here's Aaron.
Curtin Joe before the ball game, and we all know by now that Eddie Matthews was let loose as the manager of the Atlanta Braves, but I asked Henry Aaron if he would consider taking the job as the manager of the Atlanta Braves. Let's listen to what Henry has to say.
Well, I haven't been offered a job, not of yet, Tony, and I think it would be out of matter of courtesy that they probably would have offered me a job, but if I was offered a job, I certainly think that I would at this time, simply because there are no black managers in the major leagues.
Well, that's interesting because Aaron's always said being a manager is the worst job in America, but he says he would take the job if he was offered. Blown away. Henry Aaron, all-time leader in the major leagues in homers, total bases, extra base hits, just passed Ty Cobb's record of the most games played, and also he's had the most times at bat in the history of Major League Baseball. 2 balls and no strikes. This will probably be his last year as a player.
I got to ask Joe, former catcher, how do you work over Henry Aaron?
Well, Tony, you just hope that you can keep him to a single, because if there's one thing that impresses you is that relaxed stance that he has. In fact, Robin Roberts said it best. He used to sleep between pitches. When that ball gets about 6 inches from him, you'll see a lot of activity. It's hard to pitch to him.
Those wrists don't go to sleep.
No way.
The 2-0 delivery. There's a high drive deep to left. Jeff Burrows backing up. He'll have room. He puts it away. And the National League is out 1-2-3. At the end of the first inning, 0-0. Dick Allen, who showed up here at 18 minutes to 8 with an 8:30 starting time, is in the starting lineup, voted by you fans. I guess Dick Williams glad to have his bat here, the heaviest bat in the majors. Ball one. What a year he's having. He's hit 4 homers in his last 5 games, 10 RBIs in those 5 games. He leads the majors in homers with 26. And he hits that one down the right field line. It's twisting toward the stands and the bullpen, and it's out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike to Dick Allen. Allen's seasonal average is .302. 70 RBIs. If Rod Carew were not up there with that .380-some batting average, this fellow would have a shot at a Triple Crown. He'll be followed by Bobby Mercer and then Jeff Burroughs. We have 2 handheld cameras here tonight. First time in baseball history. Run by a micro relay system, and they'll be everywhere and take you places you've never been before in a major league ballpark. 1-1 to Dick Allen. Messersmith drops behind him, 2-1. Fouls up and away, 2-2.
Tony, I don't know if it's just me, but watching it from this angle from behind Johnny Bench, it looks like Messersmith at the last minute gives it that little extra, which would almost force you to take a swing at his elbow or his fingernails.
He looks like he pauses
Right.
back there, and all of a sudden he springs at you, and his arm comes for you, like he's going to charge you.
You can't time that kind of a pitcher unless you go against him a few times.
This is his first All-Star game appearance. And he gets him on a curve. 3 strikeouts in a row for Andy Messersmith. He was picked to the squad one year but didn't appear. He's starting tonight. He has a 5-game winning streak. And Tommy John on the disabled list now. He's the hottest pitcher right now on the Los Angeles Dodgers staff. He's always been hard to hit. Speaking of hitting, here's a fellow that got off to a very slow start, wallowing around in the low 200s, and now Mercer's batting .289 with 6 homers, and he's knocked in 59 runs for the Yanks. 1 ball, no strikes to Bobby Mercer, 1 out. And so far, it's been Perry and Messersmith. Jeff Burroughs on deck. He'll be up next with the Texas Rangers. Change of pace pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mercer has hit over 400 in his last 17 games. He got in his mind he couldn't hit at Shea Stadium.
He sure did, and he got that in his mind early.
I think that myth has been dispelled now. 2 balls and a strike to Bobby Mercer out of Oklahoma.
Kurt, I'll only say it once, but Johnny Bench, Dick Williams watching there, Johnny Bench never makes his pitcher look wild.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Why, Joe?
Because he doesn't jump up and down. He just has the glove there. He fondles the ball when he catches it. I think he could catch an egg from second base and not crack it. He's got real soft hands and never jumping around. He just catches the ball like the glove is like a tweezer.
They had Mercer reaching. He hits it to Garvey, covering his Messersmith. They team up for the out. First baseman, the pitcher. Messersmith covering the line correctly, running parallel to the line to go across the bag.
Mercer way out in the front of the pitch. Just topped the ball. Garvey shoveling to Messersmith, a good fielding pitcher. He's a good athlete. He's also a good hitter. He had to dig it out, come up with a good play as Mercer runs well.
And here's a young power hitter of the Texas Rangers who leads the American League in runs batted in, Jeff Burroughs, batting .285, 16 homers, 73 RBIs. 23 years old. There's some good young players in that Texas club, and they're one of the most improved teams in the major leagues. Jeff Bourne lives in Long Beach, California. 2 down, nobody on, no score on the top of the second. Fastball is inside, 1-0 to Burroughs. Now our handheld camera's moved over and gives you the look down the first base line. Outside for ball 2, 2-0 to Burroughs.
Might just add, Kurt, that on some of the signs, as we see it from the center field shot, Johnny Bench is not having trouble calling the pitches. It's his location, like he wanted the pitch outside to Burroughs, but Messersmith took charge and wanted it inside.
Messersmith's 2-0 pitch. Took a little off, change of pace. We said he's hard to hit. Anytime a pitcher allows less hits than innings pitched, he's got stuff. And throughout his major league career, he's allowed 7 hits for every 9 innings pitched.
In talking to both National and American League hitters in this ball game tonight, they almost all agree that Mandy Messersmith has the best changeup in the major leagues.
Now, Pete Rose said he's the toughest for him. In fact, of course, Rose has been trying to psych the Dodgers out. We'll talk about that later. He's telling them, watch out, we'll be right by you in about a month, boys. They wear their big red machine T-shirts around the clubhouse. The 3-1 delivery is fouled back, and we go 3-2. First full count we've had. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
WNBC TV, New York.
Here in Pittsburgh, Jeff Burroughs with 2 down. Nobody on as a 3-2 count. And he's on. Here's our first base runner. That brings up the veteran Brooks Robinson. Brooks enjoying a good season, hitting .311. 4 homers, 30 RBIs. Always seems to play his best in the All-Star competition or in a World Series. Foul back. Pie Trainer voted the greatest third baseman of all time. There's Buzz Capra throwing now in the National League bullpen of the Atlanta Braves. First warm-up action we've had. I imagine Robinson's going to be right up there with Pye or right behind him, the all-time list at third. He's made some plays that the NBC cameras have captured in World Series that he could run 50 years from now and couldn't believe them.
It was like a clinic when they played Cincinnati, wasn't it?
Oh, this is his 18th consecutive All-Star game. He has a drive out in the left field. Charging is Rose. He has it. No runs, no hits, no errors, 1 left. At the end of an inning and a half, it's 0-0. 74, Johnny Bench will lead off. And he, as you can see, has had an imposing All-Star record. Kaline, Sano, and Robinson have been above 300. I'll tell you, hitting 300 or better, Joe, in All-Star competition is something considering the pitching you face.
You can say that, boy, 8 or 9 times. You're facing the best every time you walk up there.
Gaylord Perry breezed through the first inning. Bench has been swinging a hot bat. It's a strike to him. He's hit .360 in his last 15 games. And the Reds have started to make a move. Johnny has 17 homers, 65 RBIs. At the age of 25, he won a Most Valuable Player award. He's off stride on that pitch at strike 2. That was the fork ball, and Perry's feeding him that fork ball plenty tonight. You ask him, what's the secret at your age? He says, just a good old farm boy from North Carolina.
Playing good old country hardball.
Right. Brother Jim is 37. This is the kid of the 2. Brother Jim's having a good year, too, with the Indians. Struck him out.
That was smoked. He just threw the ball right by Johnny.
35-year-old Gaylord Perry now struck out 3 of the first 4.
Kurt talked about Brooks last inning, the great defensive moments and thrills he's provided us. Here's Brooks getting ready on a pitch. He likes to creep in just a little bit, has tremendous range to his left. Coming in on the ball, nobody like him.
Jim Wynn of the Dodgers is up. He leads the National League in homers with 21, hitting .290, 69 RBIs. He's playing with a floating chip in his right elbow. He's going to have an operation when the season's over. It's hampering him. And he can't throw in the outfield. It could be a factor here in the early innings.
I talked to Jimmy Wynn before the ball game and asked him what he remembers about Gaylord Perry when he faced him in the National League.
Well, I remember one thing, Gaylord likes to throw that greasy ball, And of course, in the National League, he was a superstar. In the American League, he's a superstar. I'm just looking forward to facing that forkball that he has mastered a great deal.
One strike to Jim Wynn. One out, nobody on, no score, last of the second. That ball will be in the seats in back of third. The American League's behind third base. It's Thurman Munson, the American League catcher, and the National League's behind first.
Kurt, I don't know of a power hitter like Jimmy Wynn to the extent that when you're a big power hitter, you take those free swings, but he really knows the strike zone. He takes a big swing, but he's not a wild swinger. He's a hard swinger, and there is a big difference.
If you study him, he gets a long swing. He builds up bat speed. Watch him how far he'll come back now and start his sweep. The toy cannon. You get him in that nicknames on your show before the game, the toy cannon?
No, we didn't have room for that. We got Shotgun Shuba in there. But I like Pretzels Pizzulo.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Jim Wynn. He's second in the National League and walks to his buddy Joe Morgan. So Joe said he knows the strike zone. He hits a one-hopper, skids in front of Campaneris, picks it up. You saw Campaneris play the World Series last year. You know what kind of a shortstop he is.
And oddly enough, at one time, Bert was not considered a good defensive shortstop. He was an offensive ball player. He popped some home runs early in his career, but he has learned to play hitters, to get rid of the ball, make the pivot. Got that short hop. He really moved in on it.
Steve Garvey.
We talked to Garvey, a write-in candidate. He made it. Let's hear what he had to say with that honor.
Tony, it has to be my highest honor because of the way it was obtained, and the only thing I can do is send out one thank you for the 1 million people that wrote my name on the ballot, and to thank them very much for everything they've done to make this the happiest day of my life.
And that's something to make the starting team on write-ins. You know, nobody sits down and writes Mom a letter anymore.
And Kurt, how important it is to this youngster. He's not feeling well. Those of us that know him, his face is puffy. He missed the last 4 Dodger games due to an ear infection, but his wife was telling me in the hotel that his face is still puffy right around the jowls there, as you can well see if you know Steve.
He's batting with 2 down, nobody on. We have no score, last of the second. We haven't had a hit yet. We've had 1 base runner, a walk to Jeff Burroughs. That's been it. The 1-strike delivery, fouled away, and Gaylord Perry's ahead of him, 2 strikes. Garvey, if you notice him at the plate, there's his buddy Ron Cey on deck of the Dodgers. And the Reds and Dodgers dominate the starting team. 7 of the 9 starters on this team are from the Reds and Dodgers, which tells you something. Watch Garvey has more of an upright stance probably than any other player in this game.
He has good power to right and left center field. Not a pull hitter strictly.
Look at those arms.
Yes, sir.
Blacksmith. And he has a base hit up the middle. Well, there's our first hit. Steve Garvey singles to center. Ron Cey, the Penguin, his teammates call him because of his size and his shuffling way of running, hitting .275, 12 homers, 64 RBIs, mostly a pull hitter. He'll hit the left field a lot, dangerous with men on. Very stocky.
I think it's a cute story that Joe told about not only his legs, but his short arms. Joe, maybe you can tell our fans.
It's Boswell's story to the Mets. I'll get it in here, I hope.
Nearly a wild pitch. Good stop by Thurman Munson.
Said he slid into second base and he was out, and Boswell said if he'd have slid in like a human being and stretched his arms, he'd have made it, but he went in like a penguin and he went in with his elbows.
He does have short arms. Yesterday when they were working out, he was behind the batting cage with Pete Rose. And Pete says, you know, we're going to pass you, Ron.
Oh, he let him have it, didn't he?
He says, we're going right by you. So I know you aged 5 years last year. You're a good ball player, though, Ron.
Yeah.
You got a good ball club. There's a drive in a deep left center. That ball's tagged, and it's up against the wall. Coming in to score is Garvey. Ron Cey holds at second with a double, and the National League leads 1-0.
You call him the Penguin, Joe. Take a look at this run. He takes strides about 3 feet long, doesn't he?
He scoots, man.
Get him a tuxedo.
That's right. Shove him on a cigarette pack.
Larry Bowa hitting .268, the shortstop for the Phillies. That's the first All-Star game for Garvey, Say, and Bowa. They're hitting in succession. There's a bounding ball to second baseman Carew. And that's all, but the National League has grabbed the lead. They had 1 run on 2 hits at the end of 2, 1-0 Nationals. Munson hitting number 8. Gaylord Perry is due to follow him. There's no action in the American League bullpen. Now they're getting some action. Louis Tion is getting up. They may hit for Perry. And then we'll go to the top of the order and pick up Rod Carew. Messersmith struck out 3, walked 1 in the first 2 innings. No hits. And he's in with a fastball for a strike to Munson, who replaced Carlton Fisk as the starting catcher. .247 average, you just see 9 homers, 28 RBIs. Fisk probably won't play the rest of the year. He's going to have a cast taken off tomorrow and start his exercise. He has a base hit to left. He may get 2 on this one. It's rolling to the wall. Munson heading for second, and he's in with a stand-up double to lead off the third.
Joe, they always talk about catchers being slow, but not Thurman Munson.
He can run. He can really run.
And Gaylord Perry's going to bat. Gaylord Perry. Let's see if they try and bunt the man over to third now. Johnny Bench wants to go out and talk to Messersmith about it.
I'm sure, Kurt, they're just going to switch sides with Munson at second base. You know, they keep telling you it's another ball game, and yet they keep doing things that disproves that it's just another ball game.
When you play cribbage for pennies, you try and win.
Isn't that the truth?
That's right. And the bunt is on. He pops it up, but it's back up against the netting for strike 1. Now you, Tony, you played in the All-Star game. I think you had the best description of it. You come in, you have a 3-day break, but once the game starts, complete different attitude.
There's no doubt that the players want to win for their leagues and be the hero and the star to gain respect for their teams.
Good bunt. Messersmith has to go to first, covering his Morgan. Sacrifice for Perry. Munson's over at third now with 1 out, and the top of the order coming up.
Spoke with Rod Carew just before the ball game, and we asked him this question: do you still think you have a chance to hit 400 this year?
Well, Tony, you know, I think if I went into September hitting about 380 or so, I think I would have a pretty good shot at it, because, you know, usually in August and September I hit much better than I do the first half of the season. So if I can keep swinging the bat the way I've been swinging, I think I could hit 400 if it's in reach.
Rod Carew is an excellent bunter. Ball, when I one time in a Bonefish skiff down in the Florida Keys, I said to Ted Williams, "Can anybody hit 400 again?" And he said, "Yes, somebody that can run, bunt, and slap the ball around and stay free of injuries," and this man describes it. Here is Ken Brett of the Pirates. He's going to come in and pitch in the 4th inning for the National League. Kenny Brett. Carew moves the ball around to all fields. He makes contact. A ball and 2 strikes to him.
Kurt, he also said to me, as we look at Munson down in third, that if he were playing on more artificial surfaces, and they have 6 in the National League, 2 in the American, he thought he would have a much better chance, as he can see the difference in his average in Kansas City and Chicago.
In other words, those ground balls go through for him, and he goes after that low breaking pitch. There is Campaneris on deck. Bobby Mercer in back of him.
Talking about a change of pace. They're all bearing down and watching Messersmith.
Now Carew's on. Second walk by Messersmith. Runners on first and third. 1 out. Campaneris up. Campaneris struck out his first time. Carew's an excellent base runner. He has stolen 23 bases. The American League threatening. They're behind 1-0. And there's a bunt down to first and let it go. It's foul. It was not the suicide squeeze. The runner at third was waiting to see how the batter handled the ball, Munson, before he broke.
Look at it again, and very wisely, Steve Garvey lets the ball roll foul as Munson ran well off third base.
I like that play a lot. There's the angle on the ball as it rolls foul. I like the play, Tony, because the run usually scores, and Kurt, if the worst thing you can get out of it, the man's at second base with one out and a run in.
All right. You got another man set up.
You got your gunners coming up.
Reggie Jackson's on deck. The one-strike delivery. Low and away, 1-1 to Bert Campaneris.
Mr. Rickey used to always say, let those nits and gnats get on, let them lions and tigers eat them up.
1 ball, 1 strike to Bert Campaneris. He hits it foul, and that's Whitey Herzog. That's right, Whitey. It'll sting for 2 or 3 innings. Herzog's coaching at third, and Jack McKeon, the manager of the Kansas City Royals, is over at first. Earl Williams is the other coach, and he's in the dugout with Dick Williams, the manager. The 1-2 pitch. Ooh, that was close. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Campaneris. The winning managers last year are the managers for the next year's All-Star game. Of course, Williams was out of baseball, and Earl Weaver was going to be the manager. There goes the runner. Struck him out. The throw to second. Now into center field. Coming in to score will be Munson. Carew's on the way to third. He's in there, and the ball game is tied 1-1. Bench's throw wide of Morgan into center.
We've talked a lot, Joe, about that hinged glove and the one-handed style as we watch Carew get the jump. But I think the ball might have gotten stuck in the webbing of Bench's glove. He couldn't get it out, and then he hurried his throw after he looked the runner back at third base and threw it wildly. And there's a near collision, almost hurting somebody right there, as Carew just protects his face from the elbow of Joe Morgan. Very alertly, pops right back up into third base.
And
here's that play where Bench is trying to dig it out, and he had a little trouble getting it out. The ball kind of sailed. There you saw it. As it got by the pitcher, it sailed out towards the right field side of the bag, and Carew slid into Morgan, and that picked up an extra base.
And the National League has just made its first error of the last 11 All-Star games. They've gone 11 All-Star games in a row without an error. That's why they've been winning. They've been beating themselves. Johnny Bench charged with an error with a throw into center field. The game tied 1-1 in the third inning. 2 down. Carew at third. He can steal home. I don't know whether he tried an All-Star game. Dick Williams back in baseball. There's Earl Weaver sitting alongside of him, and Weaver's captain out with the Angels, Frank Robinson. The 2-0 delivery. 3-0, and the throw in the center field seems to have shaken Messersmith up a bit.
You think he's looking for a hit sign at this particular spot, guys?
He's going to be wailing.
Jackson struck out his first time. I'll tell you one thing, if he goes, he'll take one of the hardest swings in baseball. He's on. 3 walks by Messersmith. Runners on first and third for the American League, and Dick Allen up.
This is a dangerous pitch, I think, Kurt. You pointed up that the throw may have upset Messersmith a bit. Now he's walked Reggie Jackson on 4 pitches, and Allen, usually the slugger will go up there saying he may want to just let up a bit to get a strike and get ahead of me, and if he does, he may go to work on massage it pretty good.
Look at Allen ready to bear down now. Fouls it off. He uses probably the heaviest bat in the majors. But boy, how he pulls that trigger. He can really get it around.
One of the few guys that can loop the bat. He's got a hitch, he loops it, but he sure does get that bat in the strike zone when that ball's there.
He slams it into left field for a base hit. Carew scores. Jackson makes the turn and holds at second, and the American League leads 2-1. An RBI for Dick Allen.
That's the one thing that's got to impress you about all-star competition. When you can get 2 hitters like Jackson and Allen back-to-back in the same lineup, they can just devastate you, and they'll scare you, and I think they frightened Messersmith just a shade right then.
Bobby Mercer grounded out his first time. Let's face it, one of the reasons for the success of the All-Star game in baseball, which has been the most successful of all professional sports All-Star Classics, is really not a team game. It's individual performers. Nobody can help you at bat. A strike, nobody help you pick up that ground ball or chase that fly, and each man extremely skilled in doing the individual things that are so important in baseball. So you don't have to play together as a unit that's been together for weeks. 1-1.
It's still that simple game Willie Mays talks about. When they throw it, I hit it, and when they hit it, I catch it.
Runners on first and second. 2 down. The American League has scored twice in the third. They're out in front 2-1. There's a shot. Oh, a good stab by Garvey's up, throws to Messersmith, sides out. He trapped that ball on the artificial surface and had to make the play. 2 runs, 2 hits, 1 error, 2 left. At the end of 2.5, 2-1 American League. Major leaguer to hit 400. He did it in 41 before his 23rd birthday, which he celebrated early that year in the All-Star game. This has been called by many as the most dramatic moment in the history of the All-Star game. The American League trailed 5-4 in Detroit, bottom of the 9th, 2 out, 2 on, Williams at bat. Claude Passot, the Cubs on the mound. Williams, an effervescent young kid, always has great enthusiasm. But look at Tony, that was his greatest thrill in baseball.
He really showed it, too.
We got a man up now, Ralph Garr, who is going to be a pinch hitter for the National League, and a couple of defensive changes for the American League squad.
Yastrzemski, there's Grich at second, and Yastrzemski goes to first base. Allen is out, Carew is out. Ralph Garr leading the National League in batting. A strike. The Road Runner, he had to get the permission of, I think, a movie company to use that nickname, the Road Runner, from the cartoon, The Road Runner. And he can run roads and bases. 1 strike to Ralph Garr. That's the fork ball by Gaylord Perry, 0-2. Garr leads the majors in base hits and in triples. And if I ask you a little personal quiz, the 2-strike delivery, foul back, who leads the major leagues in total bases? You might say, oh, it must be one of the big power boys, Dick Allen, Reggie Jackson. No, sir, it's this fellow right here. Ralph Garr has 201 total bases to lead the major leagues at the All-Star break. Pete Rose will be on deck, and then Joe Morgan.
We talked to Ralph Garr before the game. You mentioned he has 149 hits. We asked him what he foresees the second half of this season, or after the All-Star game, the last 2 months.
Well, that's great. You know, you go out and do what you are capable of doing and use it to its highest potential. I've been pretty successful this year. I've been topping the ball. I've been bunting. I've been hitting the ball hard every now and then. Most of all, God has blessed me to keep my legs strong, and I've been running pretty well, and everything's been going great for me. And I just hope that I can continue to make good contact as the year progresses, and hopefully go on and have a good year.
Yeah, Ralph, you didn't make contact then. Garr strikes out as a pinch hitter. Now Pete Rose, who's a switch hitter, is up for the second time. He struck out his first time. The National League now has 2 left-handed batters, Brock and Grubb, in the dugout. They have 3 switch hitters in the dugout. And this can get important in the late inning. 4 strikeouts for Gaylord Perry. The American League's ahead 2-1 and last of the third. Bounding ball hit the second baseman Grich. Over to the new first baseman Yastrzemski, who's been plagued with a bad back but felt all right to get in the lineup tonight. 2 down. Joe Morgan struck out. Here's a fella having a tremendous year, Bobby Grich of the Orioles. I tell you, the American League's desperate to win. They lost 11 of the last 12. The new American League president, Lee McPhail, put out an order asking the managers not to pitch any of the American League starters on Sunday so they'd be rested. And Dick Williams said, I'm not going to put everybody in just to make everybody happy tonight. If we get ahead, I'm going to keep a lineup on the field that can win. There's a high foul out of play. The roar you heard is for Ken Brett, who just trotted in from the National League bullpen. 10 of the last 11 the American League's lost. Kenny Brett, he's the only Pirate representative here tonight. And the Pirates are getting hot. They won 8 in a row. They hated to see the All-Star break come.
We sure did.
2 down, nobody on. Hard ground ball, hits the umpire. Art France, ball's in play. Joe Morgan goes to second. Probably would have been a double anyway, but Art France was hit in the foot by that hot grounder.
Yastrzemski playing off the line, didn't have a chance. You'll see the ball as France is in foul territory, just ticked his foot. The ball would have gone down to the corner anyway for a sure double, maybe a triple if it started bouncing around down there.
Batter is Hank Aaron. He told me tonight that Sadahura Oh, the great Japanese home run hitter, who's over 600 home runs now at the age of 32, has challenged Henry to an international home run hitting contest. $50,000 to the winner, and Henry's going to take him up and go to Tokyo after the season is over. And go against Sadahura Oh. Oh has a chance to, before he's through maybe, to pass them all in home runs if you want to count the Japanese Major League competition. Well, we talked to the Dodgers, Walter also. They all say he's a great hitter, the Japanese fellow. Oh, but he and Aaron will go at it in October in Tokyo.
Just wonder who the pitcher's going to be. That's going to be fairly important.
Each is going to choose his own pitcher and have his own pitcher, Hank told me. 2 down, Joe Morgan at second. 2-1, American League. Now Munson and Perry getting together. Morgan was looking in.
Well, Munson has been using a very simple set of signs. It's been the first flash that he gives, and the tip-off was that Perry was going into his delivery before Munson completed giving his signs, and with the man on at second base, Morgan was doing a good job of decoying and stealing signs. You got to feel like the ballpark is a booby trap when you play, that they're stealing signs from everywhere.
Aaron sent Burroughs to the warning track. His first time up with a long fly to left. There's Burroughs. Average outfielder, not a great one, but average. He is a bounding ball deep short. Campaneris with a strong arm. It's there in time. No runs, a hit, 1 man left for the National League at the end of 3. It's 2-1 in favor of the American League. Came up with the Red Sox, went to Milwaukee, then the Phillies. The Phillies traded him over the winter to Pittsburgh for Dave Cash, a trade that has proven out for both teams. Cash has helped the Phillies, and Brett certainly has been a mainstay for Pittsburgh. Jeff Burroughs walked his first time. Brett had a sore arm the last year or two. It's typical of a lot of young left-handers who sort of develop late. He's not real late, but coming into his own now. 2 balls and no strikes.
Yogi told me that he would have made him a hitter, Kurt. He's that good a hitter.
He's had a better than 300 batting average all year. Excuse me. That pitch tailed off a little bit from Burroughs.
Look at the room from our handheld camera between the right fielder Wynn and that foul line. He hits the ball down in that area, it's going to go forever.
A curveball is low, and the count is 3-1.
Tony, this is apropos of nothing, but I think the National League with their white shoes is dressed better.
Well, we got to take a look at those A's players more.
And they're the only ones. Cincinnati, they usually wear red or black, but they've got white shoes on. They're happy as kids, with Morgan especially out there. But I don't know, it brightens it up. I like all those colors.
I remember when the A's first broke out with the color uniforms and the gold shoes, they laughed at them about being a women's softball team.
Right.
Burroughs has walked twice. Brooks Robinson lined to left in his first trip. 2 runs, 2 hits for the American League. 1 run, 3 hits for the National League. There's a high pop. Morgan calling for it, the National League second baseman. And little Joe squeezes it for the out. Burroughs stays at first. And the National League has one error, their first error since the 9th inning, the second game of the 1962 All-Star game. Error committed by Eddie Matthews. Actually, 2 errors on 1 play. That's quite a record, going 11 years without an error, with full houses and millions watching on television. Thurman Munson is double. If you're keeping score along with us, Cedeno is going to bat third in the National League lineup, and Ken Brett in the leadoff spot. A strike to Munson, who scored the first run for the National League. He doubled the left, went to second on a sacrifice, scored on a throwing error by Bench in the center field. A 1-strike delivery, and he pops it up in the shallow right. Coming hard's Wynn. Going back's Morgan, wagging for it. Takes it, out number 2. And Morgan can do everything.
Boy, he can. He just is a good ball player. Hey, look at here.
Al Kaline. Al Kaline coming up. The classy veteran of the Detroit Tigers, who is on his way, and he's after it. He needs 58 more hits to reach the magic 3,000 level. If he doesn't get them this year, he said he's going to stay on and play next year. He wants the 3,000 hits. Fouls it back. The last man, or the last 2 men, you have to go back nearly 50 years in the American League for the last man to reach 3,000 hits. Chris Speaker and Eddie Collins in the 1925 season. And the most recent player, the late Roberto Clemente, who reached the 3,000 mark level. Only 11 players in the history of the major leagues have reached 3,000 hits. 1-1. There's Burroughs at first, 2 down, 2-1 American League in the 4th inning. Kaline pops it up. Johnny Bench flipping the mask away. And that's all. Brett, after walking Burroughs, gets 3 pop-ups in a row. At the end of 3.5, it's 2-1 American League.
In 1970, the challenge was in Mexico, the Baja 1000. 1971, the brutal East African Safari. 1972, Greece and the Rally of the Acropolis. We challenged them all on passenger car tires, Sears steel-belted radios. And on tough roads like these, we prove them for traction, strength, and mileage. From their radial design to their 2 steel belts, the Sears steel-belted radial, only at Sears.
Last year, Joey Chitwood's cars started riding on a new kind of shock absorber. Over 4,000 total jumps. Over 32,000 road miles on the Sears Steady Rider. The shock that adjusts to heat when most others can't. The result? Not one Steady Rider failure or wear out.
It's Sears' best heavy-duty shock.
The Steady Rider. Only at Sears.
You know, they call Pete Rose Charlie Hustle, but the original was a guy I first played with during my rookie year with the Cardinals, and I'm talking about Enos Country Slaughter. In the 1953 All-Star game, which was won by the National League 5-1 at Crosby Field in Cincinnati, was a good example. Well, Eno was 37 then, but he was a one-man wrecking crew. Harvey Keene found that out when he was robbed of a sure hit by this spectacular catch. With Mike Garcia pitching to Jackie Robinson, Eno stole second base. Yogi Berra was the catcher. Satchel Paige in his windmill style was perfect for Slaughter. He singled out the oldest man ever to play in an All-Star game. And Roy Campanella scored on a base hit. It was a one-man performance in the 1953 All-Star game by Eno Slaughter, the original Charlie Hustle, who could do it all, and he did it every single day.
Now here's a man that almost falls apart in everything but the win column. Louis Tiant. 14 wins for the Red Sox veteran, 7 losses, 2.78 earned run average. He got off to a slow start, and he's a new papa. Had a baby boy Saturday. We have Joe Rudy in left field. He has replaced Jeff Burroughs. Rudy now the left fielder. And he'll be batting 6th, and Tiant will be batting 9th. There's it's not the blooper, it's not the ephus, it's just the T-Hunt wiggle.
He is fun to watch. He turned his back completely to the hitter, Johnny Bench, looked out to his center fielder, said, I'm throwing him a changeup, and he did.
The 1-1 delivery by T-Hunt. That's his fastball, and listen, he has something on it when he wants to deliver. He has, his favorite saying is, what you need. What you need. An obliging guy, great sense of humor, a fun man to have around a ball club. A 1-2 pitch. Look at that head jerk.
Hey. Okay, let's take a look at Luis Tiant again. He doesn't ever look at the hitter, doesn't seem like. Down on his toe, up at the sky, out to center field, and he comes from all directions with 4 or 5 different pitches.
Bench solves him for a line drive, hit to left. Rudy has it on a hop. So Johnny Bench was struck out the first time as single. The National League has out-hit the American League 4-2, but the American League's ahead 2-1. Jim Wynn bounced to short his first trip. Tiant pitched over the weekend in Texas, flew to Mexico City, where his wife presented him with a new baby boy, and then he flew here to Pittsburgh for the All-Star game. So he's put in some miles. And that one is into center field for a base hit. Bench is coming to third. Runners on first and third. Nobody out. Jimmy Wynn single. Sparky Anderson coaching at third, the manager of the Cincinnati Reds. Red Schoendienst, the manager of the Cardinals, is coaching at first. Old silver locks. There's the redhead. You got the white and the red on the coaching boxes tonight. And Tiant has been tagged for 2 singles by the first 2 men he's faced. Steve Garvey singled his first time up. And he drills it into left field. Base hit, going to the corner. Bench is scoring. Wynn is rounding third. He's being held up. Garvey has a double. The game is tied. And Tiant has been no mystery to the National League. Garvey is 2 for 2, and Weaver's calling the bullpen. Our mobile camera's right down there in the American League dugout now, and he's giving you a look. You've never seen this look before in a televised ball game, the look out on the field from the manager's viewpoint. And this is a different look than any other park because the Pittsburgh dugouts are even with the playing field. Most of them are below the playing field. And now there's the camera right in back of Dick Williams. You always wonder what it looks to look out from a Major League dugout. You're seeing it tonight. A rare look for you fans across America. Ron Cey, who doubled and knocked in a run his first time, looks at ball 1. And Dick Williams is anxious.
That American League bullpen looked like a firehouse for just a couple minutes. There were players scurrying all over the place. Wilbur Wood and Catfish Hunter are now throwing.
National League is a run in. They have runners on second and third, nobody out. They tied it at 2-all. Curve is outside. 2 balls and no strikes. And now Williams is coming out to talk to Tiant. Tiant is pitching himself into deep trouble here in the last of the 4th. This is Williams' 3rd time as a manager in an All-Star game. He's had a brilliant record in just 6 years of managing. He's won 3 pennants, 1 at Boston, 2 at Oakland, and 2 World Championships.
Tiant's motion certainly has not fooled the National League hitter so far, but he's also hung some curveballs, especially the one to Garvey, high and inside.
Tony, I can imagine with the first base open, too, Dick Williams wanted to find out how Tiant felt. He doesn't have a big power hitter coming up next, and Cey can pop the ball, and if he hits one now, it'd be a big, big bulge for the National League.
They're deep and toward left for Ron Cey. There's ball 3. You saw that little bulletin flash to you. 4 first-place finishes for Williams. One of those was a division championship, but they lost the pennant to the Orioles in the playoffs when he was out at Oakland. And, of course, you all know the story of Williams and Finley and walking away. Ground ball to second. Grich is up, looks to home, lets the man come on in. and throw Say out at first, an RBI for Say, who now has knocked in 2 runs. You don't think they want to win?
Huh.
2 RBIs in this game for Ron Say, and the National League leads 3-2. Moving to third was Steve Garvey with 1 out. Larry Boa grounded out his first time. An excellent bunter, and the infield's in. The infield in now. They'll try and choke off this run if they can. Boa hits it down to first foul.
Outfield playing very shallow for Larry Boa also, and they've got some pretty good throwing arms, especially in right field and Reggie Jackson. Mercer throws well. Rudy charges the ball like an infielder and gets rid of it.
Ball 1, strike 1 to Larry Boa. American infield drawn in tight. The outfield straight away. Boa pokes the ball around, not a long ball hitter, and fouls it away, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ralph Garr's on deck. He's batting 9th. He came in as a pinch hitter in the 3rd and stayed in the ball game. Ralph Garr. There's a grounder to short. The draw in infield. Campaneris looked the man back. Throws Boa out. 2 down. Garvey still at 3rd. And Ralph Garr's up. He struck out his first time. Now the infield backs up.
With 2 outs, they've still got to be a little bit cautious with Garr up there because he's a pretty good bunter. He may try and score the run that way.
And also they have to play Tony and Joe a step or 2 on him. Robinson's even with the bag at 3rd because of Garr's tremendous speed going down the line. Change up is foul back. That is Tiant's hesitation pitch, sort of a takeoff of Satchel Paige's stopping at the top of his delivery, hesitating, then coming on through with his delivery. 1 strike to Ralph Garr. 3-2, National League. High fly down the left field line. Campaneris going out, calling for it. A foul ball, he has it, the side's out. 2 runs though for the National League. 3 hits, they left 1. At the end of 4, 3-2, National League.
Chances are your house is covered, and your car, and your life is covered. But how about your money? I carry covered money. First National City Travelers checks are covered money because they're as good as money until you lose them. Then they're better because you can get them replaced on the spot at more than 35,000 places around the world, and you can spend them at millions of places. So wherever you go, first get First National City Travelers checks, the covered money.
Painting can be a merry-go-round. When you finish, it's almost time to start again.
Not with Sunproof Latex House Paint from Pittsburgh Paints. You see, Sunproof Latex has a patented formula with built-in acrylic flexibility. Resists cracking, peeling, blistering. Colors are fade-resistant, so you paint less often.
Get off that merry-go-round. Get Sunproof Latex House Paint.
Wherever you see me. The Pittsburgh Paints Peacock.
Exciting and entertaining Major League Baseball films are available for group showings at your organization or club function. For a free brochure of baseball film listings, send a postcard to Baseball Film Division, 1650 Broadway, New York, New York, and the zip is 10019.
The preceding announcement furnished by Major League Baseball. This is the commissioner's box, and you're right in the front row, Mr. and Mrs. Kuhn or Mr. and Miss Galbraith. Don't know the other gentleman. It's Bill Salatis, the president of Gillette North America, and Julian Goodman, chairman of NBC, chairman of the board. Back on the right, Herb Schlosser, president of NBC, Bob Howard, the president of the television network. I saw Joe Cronin there, who just retired as president of the American League in the second row. Hall of Famer Joe Cronin. In that second row, Carl Lindemann, vice president of sports of NBC. There's a drive into right field by Bob Grich to lead off the 5th. He's on. Grich has hit 15 homers this year. He's one of those players pros that grows on you. You have to watch him every day to really appreciate him. Bert Campaneris has struck out twice. 6 hits now for the National League, 3 hits for the American League.
I love that Gritch's name. It looks like one of those abbreviated things used to be in a box score.
Campaneris trying to bunt again down the first base line. Strike 1 to him. His wife's quite a painter, you know. He does the artistry with a bat, with the feet and the glove, and she does it with the oil brush. Ken Brett has just allowed his first hit. He's in relief of Messersmith. Inside a ball, 1-1. You hear that chatter in the infield. Trying to get a sign. Garvey holding against Grich at first. The move. Grich now wandering far. Art France right on top of that bag, the first base umpire. Again. Now Ron Say, meanwhile, in the other corner's creeped in. He's even with a bag over there. A 2-1 count to Campaneris. We're getting ready here for a play now.
I was going to say, usually when a fella tries to bunt and start something, if he ever got that count to 2-1, I'd say 9 out of 10 times he's going to go.
Now let's watch Bobby Grich. He is going. Foul away. They had the hit and run on. Good call, Joe.
It seems to me that 2-1 is the, I don't know if you find that way as an infielder, Tony, the manager's delight, 2 balls and 1 strike.
You know that pitcher or catcher don't want to go to 3-1, and you got the infield in. Even if you just fake a bunt or foul it off as Campaneris did the first pitch, everybody moved in. And then Dick Williams pulled the switch.
All right, it's a 2-2 count to Bert Campaneris. He struck out twice. He hits a drive into right center. Back deep goes Cedeno. Back, and grabs it on the run. He just outran that ball. Fires to first, trying to double up the runner. That's the play of the ball game so far.
He was playing Campy to left center field and underestimated his power, and he ran a mile. Cedeno, after the luncheon for the players by the commissioner this afternoon, had food poisoning. They almost had to take him to a hospital. He lost the feeling in his hands. They did not think he was going to play, and look what he comes up with, and almost throws behind Grich and doubles him off. He can do everything.
Well, he has tremendous skills. He leads the majors in RBIs. He won his 2nd successive Golden Glove Award last year. One of the 3 best defensive outfielders in the National League. He can hit. He can go from first to third in a line drive single to left. Reggie Jackson, a ball to him. Reggie has struck out, walked. 1 out. As Cedeno has just robbed Campaneris and maybe saved a run of an extra base hit. A big high hopper hit to Morgan. He goes to second. Gamble, out. No play at first. Morgan unloaded that ball quickly to Larry Boa.
And Larry Boa gives a pretty good target as he moved to the outside of the bag so that the ball, the throw would not hit Grich sliding. Had he stayed right on the bag, the ball might have hit Grich, bounced away. Chancy play by Morgan. Good defense so far in this game by the National League. Garvey, Cedeno, now Morgan getting the lead runner.
Carl Yastrzemski up for the first time. A strike on the corner to him. He's hitting .331. He is second now in the American League in batting to Rod Carew. Carl has 11 homers, 54 runs batted in. Perennial all-star for the Red Sox. And this is the Allegheny Club. This is one of these private clubs we have in all the new stadiums in baseball. Look at them, isn't that? That's a tough way to watch a ball game, huh?
I'll tell you, the good old days are right now.
A little more dessert, sir?
Oh, yes, please.
Jackson's at first. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Reggie, a big man, though, is an excellent base runner. He's stolen 10 times in 14 attempts this year. American League trailing by 1 run. He reaches and pokes it down the left field line. Gar racing. No one can get to it. It's in the seats. 1 ball, 2 strike count to Carl Yastrzemski.
Amazing thing about the man right there, Reggie Jackson, and he reminds me so much like Mickey Mantle. He can dominate a game in so many different departments. Jackson told me before the ball game, he said, watch, I'm going to be the star of this game. He believes every game he's going to go into that he's going to be the dominant force. That's what kind of confidence he has.
He's got that great quality that all-stars have, which is called, Pete Reiser called it, inner arrogance. He knows he can do it, and that's the way you have to feel to get the job done.
And it's stabs by Morgan at first, and he took a base hit away from Yastrzemski. No runs, a hit, one left. And the score at the end of 4 1/2, 3-2 Nashville.
Love power steering, 'cause I'm not too strong. White walls, wheel covers, bright trim all belong. This vinyl roof radio for a song. That's why this lady drives a Scamp. Get the special equipment and you can get an automatic transmission at no extra charge. Good gas mileage, too. That's why this lady drives a Scamp. Scamp, one of 8 great small car buys from Plymouth.
Head up! Get the feet apart! Head up! Come on, move it, Jeff, move it! Hey, Coach, you look like you could use some Gatorade.
Almost, come on! All right, man. You all look like you could use some Gatorade.
Gatorade Thirst Quencher. More than just a mouth refresher, Gatorade helps replace what your body is thirsty for. Give your body what it's thirsty for. Gatorade.
After 8 straight losses, the American League finally won the 1971 All-Star Game at Tiger Stadium, Detroit, 6-4. One of the key reasons was pinch hitter Reggie Jackson, who probably slammed the longest home run in All-Star Game history. Jackson connected off Doc Ellis. The ball sailed high, 520 feet from home plate, and then bounced back onto the field. Might have gone 600 feet and out of the park if it had not hit a power transformer. Later, Al Kaline of the Tigers said, "I've been in this park 18 years, and I never saw a ball hit that hard."
And looking in from our mobile camera in center field, we also have a new center fielder now for the American League. George Hendry of the Cleveland Indians has replaced Mercer. Lou Brock is coming up to bat in the leadoff spot for Ken Brett. The fans are booing. They wanted to see Brett hit. Lou Brock. And we thank the Pittsburgh Pirates for their courtesy, and they have been marvelous hosts to the nation's press, radio, TV, and all the fans here for this All-Star game. Lou Brock, 316 average, 3 homers, but a big story him, of course, 60 stolen bases. Change up in the right field. We'll get a chance to see him now in the bases. He's on. He is 22 games ahead of Maury Wills' pace when Wills broke the all-time record, Ty Cobb's record, in 1962. But Wills stole 47 bases, or 49 of his last 55 games.
And let's not only watch Lou Brock, let's watch Luis Tiant, who has all kinds of trick moves toward home plate and toward first base. Some say he balks, but watch him.
All right, Brock getting back. Brock stole his 60th game and his 60th base in his 95th game. Maury, his 60th base. Bluffs the dash, doesn't go.
And that's a sign of a good base stealer. Lou knew he did not have the good jump. Tiant held the ball, got him flat-footed, so he decided not to go.
Actually, as I look down here, Maury stole 53 bases in his last 59 games to pinch it down even more. And Brock knows he's got a fantastic pace in August and September to break the all-time record. But he's going for it. There, he starts the bluff. It doesn't go. I want to tell you one thing. 60 bases at the All-Star break for a man 35 years old is an amazing feat.
That it is. It's an amazing feat anytime, but All-Star break, it's a lot. There's a real cat-and-mouse game going on here because Tiant is throwing from any part of the stretch position he's going into, and Brock, who has the green light to run anytime he gets the jump.
Morgan has struck out and doubled. It's a 2-0 count. Brock is going. Here's the throw by Munson. He's in there. He's got it. He's on his way to third. Brock steals second, goes to third on the throw into center field. That's his first stolen base in All-Star game competition.
The amazing part of Lou Brock, everybody knows he's going. Pitcher, catcher, all you television viewers. Munson, one of the best defensively in the baseball, getting rid of the ball. He sidearmed it, got rid of it quickly. Look at it again.
Tony, I didn't think he had a good jump at that because he kind of broke back off his foot rather than his left foot rather than the crossover, and that throw, a low throw, and Brock in complete control goes on over to third.
Good throw would have had him beat, Joe. As
Yes,
you
sir.
said, you could see it.
And a throwing error charge to Thurman Munson. Each catcher now has been charged with a throwing error. Runner on third, nobody out. National League ahead 3-2. A foul ball. He went after that 3-0 pitch. 3-1 count to Morgan. Cesar Cedeno's on deck.
You have two different throwing styles in Munson and Bench. Bench is a gunner, whereas Munson, good, accurate, flips that ball and gets rid of it quickly, but this one sailed on him.
Tian has been roughed up for 4 hits. There's a drive twisting down the left field line. It'll be in the American League bullpen. Looks like Jim Hunter chasing it. The Raleigh Fingers. Raleigh Fingers. Tiant, you'll observe working out of the stretch with a runner on third. Lou Brock. Robinson in tight at third. Yastrzemski close at first. The 3-2 pitch to Morgan. Line drive in the center field at Hendrick. Brock will score easily. He could crawl in on this one. And the National League has a 4-2 lead, a sacrifice fly, an RBI for Joe Morgan. Here's Cedeno. We said he could do it all. Watch his catch again off the bat of Bert Campaneris. Then we'll tell you about his batting and his base running skills. Here he is now, just inserted in the game in center field, robbing Campaneris of at least a double. And maybe a triple the way Campaneris can run. He just outran that ball with his speed. Cedeno leads the majors in RBIs with 75, 19 homers, a .299 batting average, and he's stolen 36 bases. What credentials. And still in his young 20s.
3 All-Star games, the age of 23. He has those same credentials as Reggie Jackson has, can do it all.
He hits a high fly out to left center. George Hendrick loses his cap, but not the ball. There's 2 down. Morgan has knocked in a run for the National League. Garvey's knocked in 1, and Ron Say has driven in 2. Johnny Bench struck out, single. He scored a run. 3 homers in All-Star games for Johnny. He'll have a lot of All-Star games left. Back in the All-Star game in Washington, Bench hit a line drive. Yastrzemski vaulted above the left field fence and robbed him of a home run. A 1-strike pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike to Bench. George Hendrick will hit in Bobby Mercer's spot, so he'll be due to lead off in the 6th inning for the American League. Rudy will follow, and then Brooks Robinson. Three balls and a strike. Tian has not been as effective tonight as he's been the last 6 weeks with the Red Sox.
He got Johnny Bench talking to himself, Kurt.
The 3-1 pitch to Bench. Strike 2 with a fastball. 3-2.
I don't know how you would feel hitting against him, Kurt. Or Tony, did you ever bat against him?
Yeah, when he first came up with Cleveland, and he could throw hard, and that's about all he did. Now he mixes them up quite a bit.
But I wish he'd look at you when he throws.
Well, what a bargain for the Red Sox. They picked him up in the minor leagues. Everybody thought he was done. 20-game winner last year, on his way to another 20-game season this year. Jim Wynn has grounded out, single. He scored a run. Bench at first, 2 down. The National League has scored a run in this inning, and they're leading 4-2 in the last of the 5th. NBC hopes you're enjoying this All-Star game from Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
0-1 to win.
catfish hunter and Wilbur Wood now throwing once again, Kurt and Joe, down to that American League bullpen. I think Matlack will come in for the National League. He was warming up down there a while ago.
The players that are picked by the fans must play at least 3 innings at the start of the game. A pitcher cannot work over 3 innings unless it's into extra innings. Got the Fu Manchu, the sideburns, the works. 1-1 pitch to Wynn. Slow one. Floating in. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Jim Wynn.
Here he is, a little way that he tries to deceive that runner and also the hitter a little bit as he comes down, and that's been contested by some saying it's a balk, and the umpires say no, it's part of his natural motion. He does it all the time.
He's pitching 1 ball, 2 strikes to Jim Wynn. Now the move to first. He nearly got him.
He went off. Oh. Johnny had about a 1.5 lead.
Well, he hypnotizes you the way he moves that glove. You know, he can trick you into it. He can throw from anywhere when he comes set. Look at him.
Now to the plate. Foul ball back. This is his 2nd All-Star game. He was a starting pitcher in the '68 game at Houston. He was charged with a loss, a 1-0 loss, and his own throwing error to first base led to the run. Willie Mays in that game scoring the unearned run that won the game for the National League. Change up, hit deep to right. Jackson backing up. He's an excellent outfielder. That's all, but the National League picked up a run, a hit. There was 1 error, 1 left. At the end of 5, 4-2 National League.
Dick Tracy, Wethead. Dick Tracy, the dry look. Clark Kent, Wethead. Clark Kent, the dry look. Shazam, Wethead. Shazam, the dry look.
The dry look makes a good guy look even better. And only Gillette has the adjustable valve to spray as light and dry as you like. So come on, hero, get rid of that wet look. Get the dry look. The dry look aerosol hair control from Gillette.
Molly, I'm home! Molly!
Caleb! Caleb!
Molly!
Caleb! Ugh, long time no see.
Turn your face into a kisser. Gillette Foamy can do it, mister. Why shake her hand when you can kiss her?
Welcome home, Caleb.
Foamy shaking turns your face into a kisser.
We pause now for station identification.
Roy Clark, Rich Little, and Loretta Swit on the Mac Davis Show, Thursday night.
I want you to meet one of our favorite fellows in sports broadcasting, Bob Prince, the colorful voice of the Pittsburgh Pirates. And we wanted you to come in and say hello to the nation fans tonight, Bob.
Well, thank you, Kurt, and everybody. It's really nice to be here, and it's awfully good to see the National League, if I may root just a moment on national television for our National League club to be ahead 4-2. But there's one thing missing here, Kurt. I can't get over the fact that mere mortals now play right field with the loss of Roberto Clemente.
I saw Mrs. Clemente. She was at the luncheon, and they dedicated a new ballpark in his name, right?
Yes, they did, down in Miami. And, of course, this young man will go on to be one of the great superstars as time erases the memory of him to one degree. But the game is on now, and you have a new pitcher, John Matlack of the New York Mets, working.
All right, thank you, Bob Prince, for being on with us. George Hendrick facing John Matlack. Matlack has won 9, lost 6. Earned run average at 2.55. His first All-Star game. Two balls and a strike. Reggie Smith now has moved to right field. He's replaced Jim Wynn. Smith will be leading off in the batting order for the National League. Hendrick fouls it back. Hendrick has arrived now as an established Major League ball player. Some of the Oakland A's were moaning, Joe, in the clubhouse, that they wish the A's had been more patient and kept him.
He's got as quick a bat, and when they talk about tools, this fella's got them all. Run, throw, everything.
There it is. He hits it into center field. He's a 300 hitter with the Indians and has smacked 16 homers. So George Hendrick leads off in the 6th inning.
He didn't hit that ball good either, Kurt. It just shows you how strong he is, what you were talking about. He may have even broken his bat.
Joe Rudi. We've talked about this in the Saturday game of the week, NBC's Monday Night Baseball. Not out in the Bay Area, but maybe the most unappreciated Major League ball player today, Joe Rudi.
I'll go along with that.
Never says a word. All he does is just do the job, make the big plays, get the big hits, play outstandingly in the World Series. He's up for his first time. Ball went to him. He's knocked in 62 runs and hitting .303, and he's had 26 doubles to lead the National League, or the American League. Bob, were you disappointed only one Pirate picked in the All-Star team?
No, not at all. I think and our fellows responded very beautifully to it, Kurt. They said you don't deserve to be in, you don't get in.
Well, I want to ask you one last question. You won 8 in a row. You've been wallowing around, down around the bottom. Suddenly your bats are starting to zing. You're getting some pitching. Who's going to win that National League Eastern Division?
Well, I think, seriously, it's up for grabs. As they've written, all 6 ball clubs in the National League East can do it. Right now, Matlack was pitching last year at this particular time and trailing by 6.5 games. They came on to win it. I think anybody can win it. Naturally, if I might be partisan for one moment, I would hope the Pirates do.
Okay, thank you very much, Bob.
Thank you, Kurt.
Joe Rudi. A ball and 2 strikes. We're now in the National League bullpen with our creepy camera, and warming up out there is Lynn McLaughlin of the St. Louis Cardinals. Something's going on in the stands. That's what it looks like in a bullpen if you're out there with behind that camera. Right now we have George Hendrick at first. Nobody out. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Joe Rudi. Foul ball back. You hear a disturbance in the stands, a noise going on. I don't know what's going on, Joe.
There's no fight. Oh, I tell you, it's another one of those people that come to the ballpark to be seen, not to see. You know, it's a streaker marked down to $1.98 is all I can tell you. It's ridiculous.
It really is. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hendrick at first. 6th inning, the American League, 2 runs down. Rudi trying to go to right behind the runner, fouls it away.
He's got Garvey. There's McLaughlin warming up, the Cardinal pitcher in the National League bullpen, Lynn McLaughlin. But Rudi hits to right field, Kurt, as we all know, with that stance. He's got a big hole between Morgan and Garvey. Garvey, of course, holding Hendricks close at first. They're shifted around to the outfield, too, over to right field.
One ball, 2 strikes to Rudi. Here's a high fly ball to deep right. Reggie Smith on the warning track for the first out on the top of the 6th inning. Saturday, NBC at 2 o'clock Eastern Time will present the St. Louis Cardinals against the Cubs at Wrigley Field, the backup game Detroit at Cleveland. On NBC Sports, #1 in live coverage of major sports events all year round. Now young John Matlack, who many regard as perhaps the finest young left-hander in the major league today, faces Brooks Robinson, who's lined to left and popped up. Ball went to him. Watch Johnny Bench catch. Randy Hundley was really, of the modern era, the first one-handed catcher. Bench followed him.
Matlack with an excellent move to first base. He picked Larry Bowa off twice in the midst of Bowa's streak. when he had, I believe, 18 consecutive bases.
Have finally ushered out the sight distraction.
Well, Kurt, she's out of the ballpark, but remember a couple years ago that exotic dancer who was putting on an exhibition? It's just about the same thing, walking through the stands, and I mean through the aisles, just disrupting everything. I tell you the truth, that's ridiculous.
Here's the 2-0 delivery. Foul back by Brooks Robinson. 2-1.
Matlack with an excellent fastball. His ball really moves in the strike zone. It will tail away from right-handed hitters, and once in a while he can make it sail on the fist. He's got good control, keeps the ball down around the knees.
2-1 delivery. Foul ball again. 2-2 to Robinson. And now our mobile camera, run by a micro relay system, gives you the look from the right field line. We have 2 of these cameras here tonight. And of course, with the advancement in transistorized equipment, we'll move around a lot better than we could 5 years ago with them. Another foul. 2-2. What'll it be 10 years from now? I remember, Joe and Tony, about 10 years ago, we had 3 cameras doing a ball game. It was remarkable to get a close-up. Now here's our second camera, high in Three River Stadium looking down, and the other one in the National League bullpen. The 2-2 delivery. There's a drive in a deep right center. Cedeno room again. 2 outs. George Hendrick holds at first. And Thurman Munson coming up. Munson has doubled and popped up.
So far, in my mind, Joe and Kurt, the defense of the National League has been about the standout thing in this ball game. Garvey has made a great play to save a run. Cedeno saved at least 1 run by that catch in right center field. So they've made about 4 good plays.
And Joe Morgan made a good stab
Right.
on the hot smash off the bat of Yastrzemski. 2 outs, Hendrick at first. We're in the top of the 6th inning. Sent your way by NBC. 25 consecutive years of televising the All-Star Game and, of course, the World Series this October.
Joe, pitchers like Matlack hard to catch the way his ball darts around in the strike zone?
Not really, Tony, because he is around that strike zone. It does move, but he's around the plate.
Changed up that time. 2 balls and no strikes to Munson.
The guys that make it tough are the guys that got you up and down like a yo-yo, and you don't know where it's going.
Frank Robinson is on deck, and if he gets a shot, he's going to pinch hit. Frank Robinson. Now 4th on the all-time home run list. And it's 3-0 to Thurman Munson.
What do you think, Kurt? They've been turning him loose. You think he's going to hit? Come on.
I
don't think so. I think
they like
got
to
the take on here.
Robbie a shot with a couple men on.
Taken all the way.
Taking ball 4. Frank Robinson now will bat. There's Yogi Berra. He's getting a little anxious. The National League manager, and Joe Garagiola, his old buddy in the Hill in St. Louis.
Our fans might recall early in the ball game where we did a little tape with Henry Aaron where he said if he were offered the Atlanta Braves manager's job, he would take it. He also said, and further elaborated to the press, that he thought Frank Robinson, the man at the plate right now, should have gotten the California Angels manager's job. So there's going to be something stirred up in the press tomorrow, fellas.
He was that straightforward, huh, Tony?
Yeah, I guess he was.
Frank Robinson, speaking of those 3,000 hits, he's not far away either. And he fouls it off the bat handle. Might have broken his bat. Nope. He needs 141 more hits to reach 3,000. And he'd like to go for that goal. He says he'll try and play next year also. He did break his bat.
When you talk about the quick bats, you have to have this fellow among the top 3 because he stands right on top of that plate, sometimes his elbow even in the strike zone, and right on top of it.
He had some kind of funny comment. He's got the bench broken up on that one.
Well, he's led the National League many years in being hit by pitch balls. They moved to the American League and got hit by the Pitch balls. He's led the voting as the most valuable player in the National League. Then went to the American League and won the most valuable player award in the American League.
That fastball moving right on the fist. It looked like it might have been a slider, but he really jammed him. The ball almost hit Frank. I don't even know how he got out in front on it and pulled it. He really sawed him off.
Tony, I wonder if he was laughing because you played an all-star game, so you know you get a couple free new bats. He may have wanted to take one of them home for a souvenir. Now he's got to use it.
1 strike to Frank Robinson. 2 down, runners on first and second. American League 2 runs down. There's the bullpen. Lynn McLaughlin warming up. Had an outstanding year for the Cardinals. Messersmith started. Brett pitched 2 innings, and now Matlack. Curve, Fuller, what a curve that was. He really broke that one off. That's the best curve we've seen tonight.
That was Uncle Charlie, Kurt.
Right off the end of the table. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Here's the breaking pitch again as Frank just can't hold up. Took a little bit off. It had Robinson out in front. Ball almost hitting in the dirt. Yes, it did. Bench digging it out. It really broke off the table.
There's a ground ball. Morgan plays it in back to second. Scoops to Boa. Fine play again by the National League infield. That's the difference tonight. No runs, a hit, no errors, 2 left. At the end of 5 1/2, 4-2 National League.
Death Valley, California. 120 degrees. We parked 5 cars, turned on the lights, and waited. 5 hours later, all the batteries are dead. All but one. A Sears Die Hard. The Die Hard, with extra power to start your car when most batteries won't. Sold only at Sears.
New tires must meet U.S. government safety standards. These tires are doing just that, except they aren't exactly new. This set of Sears steel-belted radials has already run the back roads of Morocco and gone 72,400 miles on American highways. And now, after all that, they still exceed the safety standards new tires must meet. That's something to think about the next time you buy tires. The Sears steel-belted radial, only at Sears.
Now a message paid for by the Pittsburgh Pirates. The official 1974 All-Star program is being offered by mail to fans and collectors for $2.50. The 72-page book contains special features with color photographs on baseball's all-time All-Stars. Mantle, Clemente, Musial, Mays, Robinson, Williams, Aaron, Berra, Kaline. Scouting reports, photos of the 74 squad, a pictorial history of the All-Star contest, and many other interesting articles. Send $2.50 to All-Star Program, Three River Stadium, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15212. We have a new pitcher now for the American League, Jim Catfish Hunter. 14 wins, 8 losses. Started the season with a quick victory getaway, then went into a mysterious slump and then bounced back. He has a 6-game winning streak now. He's not lost since June 16th when the Yankees beat him. And an earned run average of 2.63. 3 years in a row he's won over 20 games. And when the A's need him in that 5th game of the playoffs, or in that 7th, or that big game in the World Series, he's the man that's done it for him.
Kurt, last Saturday when we did the game of the week from Cleveland, he hooked up with Gaylord Perry, and it was really a classic pitching duel, Perry and Hunter. You talk about a competitor. We talked about Perry. This fella, as they say, has a pretty good-sized Valentine going for him.
Steve Garvey's the batting star tonight. He's 2 out of 2, and it's a strike by Hunter. Garvey's single. He scored a run in the 2nd. He doubled and knocked in a run in the 4th. He's 2 for 2. Mike Schmidt is on deck. He's going to bat for Ron Cey. That's hit to Robinson at 3rd. It's a foul ball. The American League infield remains Robinson at 3rd, Campaneris at short, Rich at 2nd, Yastrzemski at 1st. The outfield is Rudy in left, Hendrick in center, Jackson in right.
That's one of those bats, I believe. You saw it standing at home plate. The bat boy left it there all by itself. I think it's one of those with a hollowed-out tip where you've got a flat top.
Now, the reason for that is Pee Wee Reese was explaining to me, it takes about a half ounce or an ounce weight out of the bat. You can't hit with the end of the bat.
Right.
And Hunter strikes out the first man. He faces Steve Garvey. Now Mike Schmidt, another right-in man in this game. You fans, his name wasn't on the list. You wrote his name down. And the young third baseman of the Phillies hitting .314, 19 homers, 67 RBI. And we're going to have another pinch hitter. Tony Perez is coming out on deck for the National League. Tony Perez. 4-2, National League ahead. As we always have a busy telecast in these games with players shuttling in and out and pinch hitters, defensive changes, pitcher changes. Ron Cey had knocked in 2 runs. He's left the game. Hunter behind 3-0. You know, I asked Jim tonight, I said, there's Sparky Anderson, the third base coach. Hit or take, huh? I said, tell me the true story of that nickname, Catfish. Well, he said, you know who gave me that nickname? Said Mr. Charles Finley. There's a strike. When he signed him, he said, Jim, I've got to have a nickname for you. When you're 6 years old, you're missing all day. Foul ball back. You went fishing. Nobody could find you. You came home at 6 o'clock with 2 catfish. Remember that story. Give it back to me, Dennis. When I was 6 years old, I went fishing. I came home with 2 catfish, and that's been his nickname ever since, that his owner, Charlie Finley, gave him. What a good nickname, too. And he says, you know, when they introduce me around, they say, here's Jim Hunter, nobody knows me. But when they say Catfish Hunter, everybody knows me.
Imagine that. If you don't go to big leagues, you don't get the nickname.
Right. An interesting story. No, he nearly blew his foot off in a hunting accident when he was a teenager. And yet, Charlie Finley went ahead with a bonus and sent him to the Mayo Clinic for some operations on his foot. He'd never played in the minor leagues. And the Catfish said, Mr. Finley, you know, you can have your money back. I'm a damaged piece of goods right now. I nearly blew my foot off. And he said, no, sir, I'm going to get you fixed up. I want your arm. And what a decision he made to back it all up. I wonder if he can fish. 3-2 pitch. Foul back.
I know he can hunt. He's got 30-some hunting dogs.
That could be an embarrassing question, couldn't it?
Yeah.
You mentioned
Catfish Metkovich.
Oh, yeah. Well, that
was a true story.
What, he stepped on one, didn't he?
Stepped on one, got an infection. 3-2. And Hunter's inside. And Mike Schmidt walks in the last of the 6th inning. Now here's Tony Perez batting for Larry Boa. We're going to have some new looks in that National League infield in the top of the 7th that's played so brilliantly so far. Tony Perez, all he does is just roll along every year, knocking in, averaging about 100 RBIs for the Reds. You might recall out at Anaheim, he hit a home run in the 15th inning off Catfish Hunter to win 2-1 for the National League in '67.
We've got to keep our eye on Schmidt because he stole 14 bases during the course of the year. Hunter has a good move. He's an excellent athlete, fields his position, and he's quick to first base.
A 1-1 count to Tony Perez. Ralph Garr's on deck.
I'd like to have a manager say about me what they say about Perez. There's Ralph Garr. They say that Perez can drive in the big run from any place in the ballpark.
He didn't want to go, and he fouled it off. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Perez. You joined us late. The National League scored a run in the 2nd. The American League came up with their 2 runs in the 3rd. They took the lead. National League bounced back in the 4th with 2 and added another one in the 5th, and it's 4-2 National League. That high hard one fooled Perez. 2 strikeouts for Catfish this inning. And Ralph Garr up. He has struck out and fouled out.
Here's the time of the ball game I like to watch to see how pitchers, if they continue to work the same way. They've been getting Gar on hard stuff inside. They've been staying inside with him.
Gar, oh, a great stop by Yastrzemski to rob Gar of a double. Yastrzemski makes the play of the game for the American League here in the last of the set.
Yaz moving off the base with Schmidt. And that's a difficult play because his momentum was going towards second base after he moved off the bag after makes a nice dainty tag. He was blowing a bubble there as he did it. Took it so nonchalantly.
So at the end of 6 innings, the National League 4, the American League 2.
We asked Miss McDonald's class to show you our new Voyager, a special kind of wagon. With an electronic ignition system, a tighter turning diameter than its competition from Ford or Chevrolet, and power front disc brakes. It holds lots more than an ordinary station wagon. But the nicest thing about Voyager is it's a Plymouth, and that puts it in a very special class.
On December 5th, 1973, at a rifle range outside Los Angeles, a high-powered .30 caliber rifle was fired at a distance of 40 yards to try and open this master padlock. The master lock model number 15 sustained considerable damage, but did not open. Repeat, did not open. Whatever your protection needs, there's a master lock ready to do the job.
Stan Musial has hit more home runs, 6 in All-Star Game history, than any other player, but I bet the one that Stan the Man remembers best was at County Stadium in Milwaukee in 1955. Score was tied, and Musial broke up the game on Frank Sullivan's first pitch in the bottom of the 12th. There it goes, and it gave the National League a 6-5 win after the trail 5-0. Now, besides Sullivan, Musial also connected off Walt Masterson, Mel Parnell, Eddie Lopat, Tom Brewer, Jerry Staley, all of whom are probably fans of Stan the Man.
We have a new pitcher now. Lynn McLaughlin has come on. A new third baseman. Mike Schmidt has gone to third. And a new shortstop, Don Kessinger, is now playing short. Morgan stays at second. Garvey remains at first.
New left fielder, Johnny Grubb, San Diego Padres.
Cedeno remains in center, and Reggie Smith stays in right. The National League figured that maybe their bench team was stronger than their starting team. How much depth they had through their squad.
I think they've got more defense on their bench now in the ballgame, and also more speed than that starting lineup, and better throwing arms in the outfield.
Lynn McLaughlin has won 12 and lost 6 for the Cardinals. He misses with the ball. He's facing Bobby Grich, who singled in his one time up. Grich, Campaneris, and Jackson, the top of the order for the American League in the 7th. They're trailing by 2. Ball 2 to Grich. McLaughlin, in his 7th pro season, began in the Red Sox organization in '68. That ball's hit the third baseman Schmidt. An easy play for him. 1 down. Bert Campaneris is up before he moves in. Next Monday night on NBC, we'll present the Yankees against the Red Sox at Boston. The backup game will be San Francisco at Houston. Our special guest, a man going into the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown in August, Whitey Ford, former great pitcher of the Yankees. And Joe will have his baseball world on before the ball game. Campaneris lifts the fly ball to Smith and right, and McLaughlin has the first 2 men out. What's the pregame show next Monday night, Joe?
We're going to go back and check the Negro Leagues with Cool Papa Bell and Satchel Paige and Normal Tweed, and we're going to talk about that. We got some rare footage, and it's a shame that more records weren't kept about the old Negro Leagues.
Reggie Jackson has struck out, walked it into a force play. 4-2, National League ahead. The strike, Mike Marshall, the Dodgers, the ace reliever of the majors this year. Getting ready. That's a strike.
Might add, Kurt, to save me some letter writing, that's what Satchel Paige calls them. They're not the black leagues. They're with the Negro leagues.
That's right. There's a high foul out of play. I never will forget Satch's description. I asked him how fast was Cool Papa Bell. But when he went to bed, when he turned the light switch out, he was under the sheets before it was dark.
Cool could run.
Yastrzemski on deck. 2 out. The American League has not scored since the 3rd inning. Change up. Outside 2-2. McLaughlin suddenly arrived this year with the Cardinals, Tony.
For those who have never seen McLaughlin pitch, he'll remind you a little of Bobby Gibson. He wants that ball, he wants the sign, he wants to charge that hitter, he throws strikes, he's got a good fastball. There it was.
That was it. 3-2 now to Jackson. He was traded to St. Louis by Boston with John Curtis and Mike Garman for Reggie Cleveland, Diego Segui, and Terry Hughes last December. 2 down, nobody on, 3-2 to Jackson. He got him on a curveball. Jackson is caught looking. 3 up and 3 down for the Americans. And with the 7th inning stretch coming up, it's still the Nationals 4 and the Americans 2.
It's been pretty crazy out lately. With this shortage, that shortage. I'm going through a money shortage.
I hear you.
That's not funny. So when I'm hungry, I head for the old Golden Arches. Example, I get a hamburger, regular fries, and Coca-Cola for less than $1. Thanks. Today, getting mileage out of my money is important, and at McDonald's, I do. I believe it. Besides, I'm a nut about French fries.
You deserve a break today at McDonald's.
You may not be doing as much driving as you used to. Neither am I. But odd as it seems, the less you use your car, the more care it needs, like tune-ups and oil changes with a premium quality motor oil to fight the deposits that can build up in an underused engine. You can't buy a better oil than Quaker State, refined from 100% Pennsylvania-grade crude oil. You'll find it more places than ever, now that you need it more than ever.
In 1962, en route to his major league record of 104 stolen bases, Maury Wills, there he is with Jim Simpson in our radio booth. He stopped off at D.C. Stadium in Washington for the first All-Star game played that year and stole it too. Maury didn't get in the game until the 6th inning when it was still scoreless. But once he did, things started to happen, beginning with him serving as a pinch runner for Stan Musial. Maury immediately stole second and scored on Dick Groat's single. After singling in the 8th, Maury made it to third on Jim Davenport's single when a flustered outfielder threw behind Wills. Then Maury wrapped up a 3-1 National League win, scoring on a close play after Leon Wagner caught Felipe Alou's foul fly. A dazzling performance by Maury Wills, who may not have been the fastest man ever to run the bases, but certainly was the smartest and the best.
Now we're in the last of the 7th inning, and Reggie Smith hitting in the leadoff position. The National League orders up. This is his first time up in the game. John Grubb, who went in defensively, is going to bat 5th, Kessinger 8th, and McLaughlin 9th. Reggie enjoying an outstanding year with the Cardinals. Been up among the leaders all year. Dave Cash is out on deck. There's a foul down the right field line. Cash will hit for Morgan.
Marshall has walked in from the National League bullpen, so we could see him, and you've got to expect that if Yogi goes with his lead in the 8th or 9th. There's Mike Marshall, center of your picture.
4-2, National League ahead. Change up. There goes that. Look out.
The ball hit right on the top of the National League dugout as it slipped out of the hands of Reggie Smith and wrapped around the shoulder of that lady sitting there with her hand in front of her face.
Want the bat, somebody said?
Usher right there to see if she needs medical assistance, but she's saying, I'm all right.
She's
nice
not
smile.
leave.
She's not going to leave this game.
Yes, sir. Well, it turned out well. It turned out well.
Reggie over at the dugout now looking over the top, waving to her, asking if she's all right, pointing to her.
They have a souvenir of the All-Star game. He let him keep the bat. And they give Reggie a hand, and also a hand that no one was injured behind the National League dugout. Smith is third in the National League in batting with a .321 average. Jim Hunter working his second inning. There's a long drive. Going, and gone. Jackson didn't even move in right field. He just looked up. That ball was really tagged by Reggie Smith. The first homer of the game.
And did he know this was a home run all the way, Joe and Kurt? It looked like Catfish may have taken a little bit off. Belled high. Oh, he knows it. He wants to just see how far.
He should have bought a ticket, Tony.
All right, we have Dave Cash up. He receives a good hand. He used to play here with the Pirates. Now with the Phillies. This is his first appearance in the game. The National League's ahead now 5-2 in the last of the seventh. That was Reggie Smith's first All-Star homer and his first All-Star hit. And Yogi's getting him in the ball game. Only Jerry Grody, Chris Spire, and Ted Simmons have not been in of the players who are not pitchers.
Raleigh Fingers and John Hiller, two of the aces out of the bullpen for this American League team.
A 2-2 count. Fingers, the right-hander. John Hiller, one of the most amazing comeback stories of all time. There's Reggie, who just blasted that long home run to right field. 3-2 count to Dave Cash. Foul back. Gaylord Perry started. Pitched 3 innings, 3 hits and a run. Tiant pitched 2 innings, gave up 4 hits and 3 runs. Hunter now has pitched an inning, given up 1 hit and 1 run. Fly ball out to center fielder George Hendrick. 1 away in the last of the 7th inning. Cesar Cedeno is the next batter. Sellout crowd of over 50,000 tonight. It rained most of the day here in Pittsburgh. And this game is being televised in Pittsburgh.
Cedeno, you might notice in his batting stance as we look in from our center field camera, holds his hands extremely high and wiggles that bat around the top of his head at times. But does he have a cut?
He replaced Aaron. Aaron flied out to deep left and grounded out before leaving the game. Cedeno flied to center in his one time up.
I think he's swinging a little bit harder than the past, going more for power than average, and that shows in those stats.
Well, 299 is not bad.
He's also using a power bat, Tony. That handle is very thin, but look at the thickness of that barrel. It's a big barrel, very thin handle.
1 out, nobody on. Hunter tries to curve him. 2-1. And things are getting a little more desperate for the American League now. They're behind 3 runs. They've been completely dominated in recent years in this game by the National League. And yet the Oakland A's have won the last 2 World Series of the American League.
Cedeno, one of the toughest hitters in the National League to fool. He always has a good cut. You can throw him a breaking ball outside and he's got that great power to the opposite field, or you can bust him inside and he can pull the ball. Tough to play.
3-2 count to Cedeno. 5-2, the National League ahead. In the 8th inning, Yastrzemski, Hendrick, and Rudy are due up for the American League. Struck him out. 2 down. Had him reaching for the high pitch. Johnny Bench has gone all the way tonight for the National League. He has struck out, singled, and walked. He scored a run.
kind of interesting, too, Kurt, because he's got 3 catchers, and looked like he wanted 3 catchers because he wanted to use all his catchers.
They must like the way Johnny's handling those pitchers.
Must.
Got the lead. The strike. 2 out, bases empty. John Grubb on deck, fine young hitter of the San Diego Padres. A natural smooth swing. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the foul ball makes it 1-2 to bench. Sparky Anderson. This is his man at the plate, Johnny Bench. He makes no bones about it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That's Hunter's slider that just missed. 2-2. Three balls, 2 strikes. That's a base hit in the left field by Bench. His second hit, his 3rd time in a row he's been on base. And here's a young fella, Berra, out in front right now by 3. A sophomore in the National League, John Grubb, with a .300 batting average. Last year he hit .311 as a rookie. Players talk about him. He has that natural swing. He's just a natural-born hitter. Padres keep signing players like this, they'll be up in there another 2 or 3 years. 1 ball, no strikes. Speaking of up in there, it's amazing, Joe and Tony, how the races are almost identical at this stage last year at the All-Star game. Grubb pops it up. Campaneris waiting. And the side's retired. 1 run for the National League, 2 hits, they left 1. We've gone 7 innings, and it's 5-2 National League.
Now, Tom and Bob had a heavy mission taking me and Mary Jean and her big sister fishing in a Plymouth Gold Duster. Now, these vinyl seats got a leather-like feel. It's a nice soft carpet to rest your creel. White walls, wheel covers, and some special trim. This vinyl roof's the part that's best. No extra charge when you buy all the rest, and you're going to get miles and miles from a gallon of gas. Gold Duster, one of 8 great small car buys from Plymouth.
Now comes Miller time. Suddenly, you're the 3 best sailors on the water. And that calls for a round of the best-tasting beer you can find. Miller High Life, America's quality beer since 1855.
If you've got the time, we've got the beer. Miller Beer.
We pause now for station identification.
Roy Clark, Rich Little, and Loretta Swit on the Mac Davis Show, Thursday night.
Carl Yastrzemski will lead off. For years, the top defensive left fielder in the major leagues, and he's now developed into a fine fielding first baseman. Let's take a look at that play again that he turned in earlier in this game.
That was Mike Schmidt on first base. Yaz was holding him on, and he stole a base hit, a possible double. Schmidt might have scored on the ball hit down that line.
The amazing Mike Marshall, who gets his feelings hurt if he can't pitch every day. The Dodgers have played 97 games this year, and Marshall's pitched in 66 of them. He's won 11, lost 4. An earned run average of 2.31, and he saved 13. We have Dave Cash at second base, replacing Joe Morgan. And Yogi's about emptying the bench. getting everybody in. Carl was robbed of a base hit his first time up by Morgan. Marshall slows up on him.
That's a screwball, and I think Yastrzemski's going to be surprised if he throws him anymore, because he throws 3 different kinds. One that breaks straight down, one right, and one left. I've never seen anything like it, Joe. Have you?
No way. The thing that was interesting to me, Tony, is watching Bench give the signals. 3 was the signal for the screwball, and he just kind of hung the first one. It was outside, and he came back with 3, and he really snapped one off. He not only changed the speed and the break, but he delivery.
He nearly had him struck out. That was the screwball again, one of the 3. And you can see Yastrzemski was completely baffled by that. All he could do was hold up when he swing.
That's the one that looks like a curveball, but it's a screwball. I don't know how he gets his arm into that kind of position to throw it to break into a left-handed hitter.
2-2 count to Yastrzemski. Beats it foul. Marshall, at this pace that he's going this year, will pitch in 110 games when it's all over. He holds the Major League record now for most appearances in one season, set with Montreal last year of 92. Can you imagine a man working in over 100 games in a season? 3-2 to Yastrzemski.
You don't think he signed one of those old contracts like the workers used to do, where he worked by piecework?
Here's that screwball. Let's look at it again in slow motion. Listen, a little bit up in the strike zone. He changes speeds on it so well. That's the thing.
3-2, and Yastrzemski blasts it foul into the National League bullpen. The American League is trailing by 3 runs in the top of the 8th inning. They've lost 10 of the last 11 games, and they're in a hole tonight. Airman division.
I couldn't see it.
3-2. Foul again. He came in with a fastball that time. A few weeks ago, you might remember, Mike Marshall set a record of pitching 13 consecutive games in a row. We have banners sprayed all over this park tonight. 3-2. Yastrzemski is on to lead off the 8th inning. NBC is going to present preseason football Saturday, August 17th. Cincinnati Bengals at Atlanta. Saturday, August 24th. The defending Super Bowl champs Miami against the Rams at Los Angeles. And Thursday, September 5th, Pittsburgh at Dallas. Preseason pro football on NBC. #1 in live coverage of major sports events all year round. George Hendrick's been up one time and he's single. And it's a ball to him. John Brody will join our NBC telecasting crew, working with Jim Simpson. And Don Meredith will be working in Los Angeles and in Dallas with L.D. Regattas and me. We welcome Don and John to NBC.
Kurt, you mentioned Marshall's 13-game streak, and he told me before the ballgame there was not one game there where he was not used the way they usually use him in a close game. Walter Alston never tried to just keep the streak going, and he said, I could have pitched in the 14th if I had to in 15th. But the 14th, we got way behind, and they didn't need me.
Now, he's just walked Yastrzemski, and now he's 2-0 to Henry. Foul ball. Joe Rudy's on deck.
Oddly enough, he's been wild with his fastball. His breaking stuff, he's been able to get over. There you get a good shot at Rudy.
The screwball really doesn't matter whether you have a right-hander or left-hander to send up against him, but the only 2 left-handed batters the American League has left in their dugout are Darrell Porter, a young catcher, and John Mayberry of the Kansas City Royals, available for pinch hitting duty. That's a foul ball off his bat hand. 2-2 count.
Most screwballs, like Marshall with a screwball, if he throws the one, it's, let's call it the standard one, to a right-hand hitter would break inside. And Kurt, that's what Harry Brackeen did to Ted Williams so well in the '46 World Series. Williams' belt buckle was the target, and the cat was able to hit it. It was just phenomenal.
The little cat won 3 games in that '46 series. Williams always claims one of the greatest pitchers he ever faced in that series. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 3-2 to George Hendrick. Remember, the American League's trailing by 3. Now a little uneasiness abounds around the ballpark. They're wondering if Marshall's going to walk another man.
Should be. If he walks him, you've got that tying run at home plate in the person of Joe Rudy.
Yastrzemski at first.
Don't think he'll be gone.
No, I got to go along with you.
3 down.
You strike him out and throw him out if he goes.
How back? Right-handed pinch hitters. The American League has young Dave Chalk of the Angels left, Don Money of the Brewers, Cookie Rojas of the Royals, and Sundberg, the young catcher of the Rangers. Well, I wonder who's going to win the most valuable player award here in this All-Star game tonight.
That's right.
3-2 delivery. He reached for a bad pitch, taps it to the box, the throw to second. In time there. Kessinger covered. That was ball 4 to Hendrick. It appeared from up here.
On this AstroTurf for artificial surface, the ball almost bounces over the head of Marshall. He just gets into the top of his webbing after he misjudged it slightly. He started going back. Now he leads his shortstop. Kessinger, as Cash backs up the play, and that's something that can get confusing when you don't play together too often, and these two have never played together.
But it was a good throw by Marshall. He led Kessinger perfectly into that bag. Joe Rudy's been up once, and he flied out to deep right. 1 out for the American League. The outs, the innings are running out for them. They're trailing 5-2 in the top of the 8th.
This Rudy is really the last of the tiptoe hitters. Watch his front foot.
A strike to Rudy. He really spreads out, doesn't he?
He gets right up on that toe for some reason. I guess he feels like he can spring off better, but it's kind of interesting. Makes no difference how you stand. It's what you do. Whoever thought Musial could hit with his stance?
Peeking around the corner.
Right. Let's you get up there in a minute. Get up there, Joe. That's it.
Foul ball down the third base line. Big John Mayberry's on deck to pinch hit for the American League. And he'll bat for Brooks Robinson. And it looks like Steve Carlton out in the National League bullpen getting warmed up. Nice guy to face in the late innings.
Oh.
0-2, Mike Marshall. One of the intellects of Major League Baseball. Made a special study of muscles, tendons. When you ask him about it, he says, I can't even explain it. You guys aren't smart enough.
He thinks a lot like Johnny Sain, the pitching coach of the White Sox, feels you have to throw a lot. Says if you don't, your muscles atrophy. So you got to keep out there stretching those muscles.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Rudy. 1 out, George Hendrick at first. Fastball's high and away. It's 2-2. The American League's had only 1 hit since the 3rd inning. And they've been shut out since they scored their 2 runs in the 3rd. 3 excellent plays in the infield by the National League. And Cedeno's catch off the bat of Campaneris in deep right center have choked off the American League scoring tonight. This will be a 2-2 pitch now. Struck him out on a fastball. 2 down for the American League. Gives you this, gives you that, comes in, back again.
Interesting enough, though, that when he gets in a jam, he goes to his fastball. He gives you all that kinesiology business about the muscles and the screwball and the curveball, but when he gets in trouble, he jumps right on that express.
John Mayberry, batting .260 for Kansas City, 19 homers, 53 runs batted in. Been hampered in recent weeks by a severe hamstring pull. And if he gets that wood on, he could hit one in the upper deck here, any upper deck anywhere. They're deep and toward right for him, and Reggie Smith is in the right field corner. Ball 1.
Brings to mind that great Paul Richards line. Hit a home run in any park in America, including Yellowstone.
Yeah, Jack Anderson, the superintendent of Yellowstone Park, always liked that one. 1 ball, no strikes.
Ooh.
He was trying. 1-1. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network. Well, Messersmith, Brett, Matt Lack, McLaughlin, Marshall have checked the American League.
Dave Cash playing short right field. Kissinger looks like the roamer of Kissinger.
That was either one of his breaking pitches or screwball. There's Cash out in shallow right. It's Kurt Gowdy, Tony Kubek, Joe Garagiola. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's All-Star game from Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh. We're in the top of the 8th inning, 5-2 National League. He hits it down to first baseman Garvey. Easy play, and the American League has 3 outs left in this game. No runs, no hits, no errors, 1 left. Last of the 8th coming up, 5-2 National League.
To get the most mileage from a new set of tires, you treat them right from the start. We didn't do that. Before this set of Sears steel-belted radials ran roads like this, they ran Morocco. Before they ran high-speed expressway, they ran blistering hot desert. Before the rain-slick highway and stop-and-go traffic, roads with guts of pure granite. Over 1,000 miles on some of the toughest road in the world. We punished them the way you never would. Then we put the same set of tires on the highway to see what they had left. Thanks to a combination of radial design and 2 tough steel belts, they're still going strong. 72,400 miles later. The Sears steel-belted radial. It can take a lot and still go a long, long way. Radial design. 2 steel belts. The Sears steel-belted radial. Only at Sears.
Well, there's my man Yogi Berra, and I just had to ask him about his feelings of being a manager in the All-Star game. Did he ever think it was possible?
Yo, did you ever think when we were kids you'd be here managing an all-star team?
No, Joe, I never dreamed I'd be a manager in an all-star game, and I never dreamed there'd be a broadcaster.
When you're managing this club, do you think about any of the teams we had as kids?
Oh, I sure do. We always had the biggest guys, you know, Joe, we picked, and Pucci, you know, he was our biggest guy, played first base, and the fattest guy was you. You were catching.
Oh, nice going, yo, nice going. It's a big thrill, and good luck to you.
Well, thank you very much, Joe.
2 boyhood buddies who grew up together, played baseball as youngsters on the hill in St. Louis. There's one of them, Yogi Berra, and the other one sitting here to my left, Joe Garagiola.
Kurt, was it like that in your neighborhood? I know it was in Tony's, that the fattest kid was always the catcher?
Yeah, it was mine.
Well, when it warmed up in July and we got him out there, that's right. Nobody wanted to catch.
Always the fat kid. I was always the catcher.
Raleigh Fingers is now on for the American League. At third base is Dave Chalk. He's the first rookie in this game tonight for the California Angels. He'll be hitting 9th, and Fingers will be batting 7th in the American League lineup. Steve Garvey has gone all the way. He has singled, doubled, and struck out. He's knocked in a run, and he scored a run. 5 runs, 9 hits for the National League, 2 runs, 4 hits for the American League. The National League has sparkled in pitching and defense. And they've out hit him, more than doubled. Well, you'd have to say they've dominated every phase of the game tonight. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mike Schmidt on deck. Fingers, one of the better relief pitchers in baseball. Here's a drive hit deep into the left field corner. Rudy racing hard. Oh. Hey, what a grab by Joe Rudy. Sliding into foul territory. He's made catches like that in the World Series the last 2 years. But nobody ever talks much about him.
We'll look at it again, and we've talked before about how much pride means to these All-Stars, and he goes diving on the warning track almost into the bullpen fence.
Tony, he saw that fence, and as he sees the fence, he goes into that slide, and there he is down in complete control, never taking his eye off that ball, and then braces himself as he hits it. Here's another good shot of it. And as you say, Kurt, he's made them everywhere.
I'll never forget the World Series of '72, climbing the wall in the opening game at Cincinnati to save it. And the catches he made in both World Series. He just makes the big play and continually gets the big hit for you. Never says a word. There's a low at the beginning of the season, goodbye at the end, and picks up his World Series check and goes home.
That's something.
2 balls and a strike to Mike Schmidt, who walked his first time. Ohio University. Schmidt played college ball. Last year he struggled, hit below 200. Got off to a good start. I couldn't get used to it. Got into a slump. Put me on the bench. Worried. In awe of everything. Now I'm used to it. Now I'm ready. 3-1 pitch. Foul ball back. If he gets the hold of one here tonight, you'll see something. He's hit some of the longest home runs in the major leagues this season.
Well, he has the longest single ever hit in that Astrodome where he
Yeah.
hit the speakers up there, which is about in another county. I think it's a different time zone out there.
Yeah, they do move it back into the mountain time.
They do.
From Central. 3-2. 1 out, nobody on. Last of the 8th inning. Mike Schmidt walks. And Don Kessinger's up for the first time of the Cubs. Kessinger batting .267 for the Cubbies with 1 homer, 30 RBIs. He's played in 6 All-Star games.
Joe, I'm looking for Yogi to stir a little something up here. Maybe put the hit and run on. Schmidt with 14 stolen bases. Kessinger gets the bat on the ball. Let's see what he does.
The strike. They play Kessinger to the opposite field. The last chance for the American League in the 9th inning. Munson is scheduled to lead off the strike. Dave Chalk batting 9th would hit 2nd, and then to the top of the order for Grich. And that's their last shot. They have only 1 left-handed pinch hitter left. Yastrzemski holding at first. There's a drive into right center by Kessinger. This will roll to the wall. Rounding third is Schmidt. He'll come in to score. Kessinger's going for 3, and the National League has a 4-run lead.
That's a curveball he laid in there. It looked like he threw good fastballs, got 2 strikes on him, and then gave him one of those nice room service curveballs where you pick up the phone and say, please give me a curveball about belt high, and Fingers did, and Kessinger hit it.
Room service with Sterling Silver.
Oh, man, it was right there. He couldn't have, it was just perfect for him to hit, and he plugged the gap.
6-2 now, National League. Take it, Tony.
There's a 2-strike pitch, and they were playing defensively for a breaking ball, a little bit unusual. They were playing for Kessinger to hit late. He threw it inside. He pulled the string, a pitch you would expect him to pull. He did.
Well, Dick, what are you thinking about? Dick Williams, the American League manager. Mike Marshall batting for himself. Ball goes back to the backstop, and in the score is Kessinger. And it's now 7-2, National League.
Joe, I got to wonder what that last pitch was, the way it took off. Munson, who has the good hands, a good defensive catcher, doesn't miss pitches like that too often, unless there may have been something on it that made it really sail.
And there's our microwave powered unit in the National League dugout. Kessinger's happy after a triple and scoring. Marshall loops it into right field. Jackson over. Great grab by Reggie Jackson. He's a complete player. Run, throw, hit, field.
Well, we've seen a diving play by Rudy, and now Reggie Jackson. We've seen a near collision around second base with Morgan. And who says the All-Star teams aren't out there hustling? They want to win. They're not holding back. They've got too much pride.
From the other angle, a sliding stab by Reggie Jackson. 2 down, nobody on. Reggie Smith up now, and that's to the backstop.
That's a similar kind of play on this same infield that Darrell Cheney of the Reds, when he hit one of those seams on this artificial surface, tore the skin on his hand off.
Kessinger scored on that wild pitch ruled by the 3 official scorers. 2 balls, no strikes to Reggie Smith, who hit a homer in the 7th inning, the only homer of the game.
You mentioned those official scorers, Kurt. He fouls this one off. Joe Heiling of the Houston Post, Charles Feeney of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and Luke Kay of McKeesport Daily News. Jack Herman of the St. Louis Globe was supposed to be here, but I understand he has some illness in the family, so he's replaced by Heiling.
They score by committee. Well, they do. They get together and talk it over on a controversial call. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Smith. Sal Bando is scheduled to be with the American League tonight. He had an injured ankle, and Ed Herman, another player who couldn't make it because of an injury. 3-2. Raleigh Fingers has given up 2 runs in this inning. The American League has used Perry, Tiant, Hunter, and Fingers, just 4 pitchers. There's a high fly ball to right field, but Jackson has plenty of room. 2 runs for the National League on 1 hit. There was a wild pitch, nobody left. We're going to the top of the 9th at 7-2 National League.
People across the country are recommending the Gillette Track 2 razor to their friends.
So I told him, well, look, Dad, this Track 2 works great.
I tell the customers that a Track 2 gives you the most fantastic shave you've ever had.
There's 2 blades set close together. The first blade cuts your whisker, and before it has a chance to snap back, the second blade cuts it. It's a lot closer shave than I was getting with a single blade.
I turned my whole family into Track 2 people.
The Gillette Track 2 shaving system, the closest thing to a perfect shave.
This is Don Rickles. Give me the president of Right Guard. Hello. You the underarm biggie? Listen. Quit making your Right Guard antiperspirant with this super dry anti-stain formula. Why? Listen, you hockey puck. I'm an entertainer. I get laughs with my insults. But how can I get people hot and bothered when they've got your Right Guard keeping them cool? Right Guard helps keep them dry. You keep selling Right Guard, and you can pay for my mother's apartment in Miami Beach.
Here's a message from Major League Baseball, cooperating with the Federal Energy Office in a voluntary energy conservation program. This country's facing an energy shortage. We know baseball's loyal fans want to conserve electricity and gasoline in every way they can. So turn down that air conditioner. Turn off all unnecessary lights and appliances. Baseball thanks you for your conservation efforts. This message from the Office of Energy Conservation, Federal Energy Office, furnished to the public service by Major League Baseball. Jerry Grody now has replaced Johnny Bench. Behind the plate, it's Marshall and Grody, the National League battery. Thurman Munson has caught the entire game for the American League. He's leading off in the 9th. And the first pitch by Mike Marshall's ball 1. Dave Chalk is on deck, and then Bobby Grich in the hole. They represent the last hope for the American League in the 9th. There's a ground ball to second baseman Cash. The pickup and throw, and there's 1 down. And the American League's down to their last 2 outs. Here's the only rookie in this game. Dave Chalk of the California Angels, out of the University of Texas. He's going to be a good one. I want to thank Jim O'Gorman, our production stage manager, and Ed Prendergast for their work in the booth tonight. Our field coordinator, Hugh McDermott, and our statistician, Alan Roth. Now we got to fan off the field and get on here in the 9th inning. 7-2 National League. Remember, next Saturday, Tony Kubek and I will be in Wrigley Field, Chicago for the Cardinals and the Cubs. The next Monday night at Fenway Park, Boston, for the New York Yankees and the Red Sox. And our Monday night game, Joe Garagiola's Baseball World looks at the legends and lore of the Negro Leagues with Cool Papa Bell and Satchel Paige. Caps at foul. Cool Papa Bell and Satchel Paige. How about Josh Gibson? Some say, I've had people tell me, the greatest player they ever saw.
Kurt, doing this research, I tell you, you hear more stories about Josh. It's a shame we didn't get to see some of these greats play. It was our loss.
He had home runs over the left field wall, center field wall, right field wall in the same game. Marvelous catcher, could run everything. A ball and 2 strikes.
This is his hometown.
Pittsburgh. What was that? Homestead Grays?
Homestead Grays, that's right.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out here in the 9th inning. The National League ahead by 5. Mike Marshall pitched the 8th, walked the man, and put the next 3 men down. Bobby Grich on deck. Fouled away. The American League has been very quiet since the 3rd inning. Just 1 hit. A leadoff single by George Hendry. Check that, 2 hits. Grich had a single in the 5th. They've had 3 singles and a double tonight off National League pitching. And Chuck strikes out. 1 out left now for the American League. And Bobby Grich is up. He is singled and grounded out. Nothing happens to change this picture. A special committee, instead of writers and broadcasters and waiting for a long discussion, Steve Garvey has been selected as the most valuable player in this game. The first baseman. He's gone all the way for the Dodgers. For the National League tonight. Here it is, right to Garvey, the most valuable player. He's got the ball. 3 up and 3 down. The National League has won its 11th game of the last 12. Their 3rd win in a row. The winning pitcher was Ken Brett. The losing pitcher was Louis Tiant. We're going to see Steve Garvey receive the MVP trophy of tonight's game. But we'll be back. The final score. The National League, 7 runs, 10 hits, 1 error. The American League, 2 runs, 4 hits.
Freedom. Financial freedom. Freedom to live the way you want. Freedom to educate your children the way you want. Freedom to retire the way you want. Financial freedom. It doesn't come easy. But you don't have to go it alone. Merrill Lynch wants to help you fight for it. Merrill Lynch wants to help you fight for your financial freedom.
By reaching out to see things differently, man's genius is now helping to free him from his earthly home. Another result of that reaching out, the amazing electronic devices like this one, designed for Quasar Color TV. It's part of our continuing improvement in 100% solid-state design, where solid-state devices contribute to your confidence in the set you buy.
Reach out for Quasar.
Where are we going? What camera here? Yeah. All right, with me on the field, Baseball Commissioner Bowie Kuhn, the man who won the MVP trophy for this All-Star game of 1974, Steve Garvey. Mr. Commissioner, you have the honor.
This trophy is emblematic of the most valuable player in the 1974 All-Star game, the 45th All-Star game. It goes to Steve Garvey for outstanding offensive and defensive play in this game. You clearly earned it, and on behalf of professional baseball, I congratulate you. And by golly, the fans certainly were smart when they wrote you in and made you the first baseman on this team.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kuhn.
That is something, a write-in candidate. You weren't even expected to show up for the ball game. You were so sick for a while, Steve, and here you play the entire thing. You take a hit away from Yastrzemski in the 5th, save a couple runs, a possible rally, and that's quite a tribute to this man right here for playing that entire ball game, Commissioner.
I'd say so. I repeat, it makes the fans look like the most sagacious people around. That's what we think they are.
Steve, one final comment?
Yes, Tony, I just can't express in words itself the thanks to all the people across the country that got me here. And I think this is my way of repaying them, because this isn't my trophy tonight, it's theirs, I think.
Steve Garvey, my thanks. Commissioner Bowie Kuhn, thank you. Your system with the cards and the punch-outs and the write-in has proved that it works. Thank you so much. Let's go back upstairs.
Again, the final score, the National League 7, the American League 2. In a moment, we'll continue to review the action of tonight's game.
It happens so slowly you hardly notice it. Your 2-year-old car begins to drift, sway, and roll. And it's like driving at sea. A set of Monroe-Matic shock absorbers can help put you back on solid ground. Because the better the shock absorbers, the better your ride control. And Monroe-Matics adjust automatically to give you solid, automatic ride control. So let Monroe put you back on solid ground.
Don't tell me you told me.
I told you.
Well, don't tell me you told me.
I told you. Put antifreeze in the car or you could boil the engine.
Well, don't tell me you told me.
We'll tell you. A 50-50 mix of Prestone 2 winter-summer formula and water fights boil over because it helps your cooling system handle heat better.
I told you.
If you can't trust Prestone, who can you trust?
Many of nature's most fascinating creatures are in danger of vanishing from the face of the earth. To remind people about our vanishing wildlife, we've preserved several species on stamps. Stamps like this have always made stamp collecting fun. New and different stamps come out every few weeks at your post office. The place to discover the fun of stamp collecting.
Now, from the maker of America's #1 selling compact cars comes a new small car. Valiant Brougham. Economically small for good gas mileage, yet luxurious. With elegant features like richly textured crushed velour seats, deep shag carpeting. Elegantly appointed in the style of a fine European sedan at an American compact price. Valiant Brougham, one of 8 great small car buys from Plymouth.
Well, the least effective pitcher tonight, although he was good, Andy Messersmith, the starter for the National League. Brett, Matlock, McLaughlin, and Marshall were brilliant. And the National League just had airtight fielding, Joe Garagiola.
I think that was the whole key to it. I thought we might see a little bit more base running. And the other thing that might point out as far as the National League is concerned, Kurt, we saw some players who were in the thick of that pennant race really do things that they do and we take for granted. Morgan in his fielding, for example. I thought that was significant. The defensive plays especially.
But there was one key play of the game, although it wasn't a close game. It might have been in the 5th inning when Grit was on with a single and Cedeno robbed Campaneris of extra bases.
Just simply outran that ball. We saw some fine plays here, and I would like to harken back to Garvey of becoming the most valuable player. As Tony pointed out, he was sick, he was puffy, but what a story that is, that in spring training as a youngster, he would ride on the bus because his daddy drove the bus in Tampa, Florida, and he'd get around these ball players, and here he is, the best of the All-Stars.
And I think we should give the fans credit for taking the effort to write his name in a ballot. That's a little effort.
That's right. You go by computers, you make them up so early. In fact, Aparicio was even on the ballot this year, but you can't get the good baseball fan. He knows what he's doing, and he showed it by writing in the Garveys and the Schmidts.
Has to be discouraging now to the American League. They've now lost 11 of the last 12.
It is.
Let's go down to Tony Kubek now for his final wrap-up.
All right, Kurt and Joe, I think the thing we've got to do also is throw some bouquets in the direction of the American League. When you see a Reggie Jackson and a Joe Rudy late in the ball game, down 3 runs, diving on dirt tracks, on cinder tracks, coming up with diving catches, you got to believe what all these players believe in this ball game tonight. It's a matter of personal pride, win or lose. They're out there to do their best for their clubs and their leagues, and we saw it in the ball game tonight. Back upstairs.
You know, we're just about where we were at this stage last year, Joe. Wild scramble, American League East, National League East. Cincinnati now about the same spot as they were last year with the Dodgers and the Oakland A's out in front in the Western Division of the American League.
Everything's getting tight. It's getting tough to breathe. As Pete Rose says, the big red machine's coming, and you talk to the Pirates, they're coming. Everybody's moving.
It's going to be an interesting last part of the season, and we hope you're going to be with us on NBC Saturday afternoons and Monday nights. On behalf of Joe Garagiola, Tony Kubek, Kurt Gowdy, thanking you for looking in. The 1974 All-Star Game has been brought to you by the Gillette Track 2 shaving system. It's the closest thing to a perfect shave. By Sears Tire and Auto Centers for die-hard batteries, Steady Rider shock absorbers, and Sears steel-belted radial tires. And by Chrysler Plymouth, the compact car leaders offering 8 great small car buys for $74. 2 o'clock Eastern Time, Saturday, will be in Wrigley Field, Chicago. The Cardinals against the Cubs, the backup game, Detroit at Cleveland. And next Monday night from Fenway Park, Boston, with special guest Hall of Famer Whitey Ford, the New York Yankees have been red hot lately against the division-leading Boston Red Sox. Backup game, San Francisco at Houston. It all starts 8 o'clock Eastern Time, and all right here on NBC.
The Jesse James and Cole Younger gangs team up for their great raid when